papa correndo mato et puis c'est on a oublié.
Hotep Senuhena Senuti Itiren Ishaka Ndugu Kemet. Greetings to you, sister Love Mifro. I actually forgot to share the link, so give me a few seconds so I can share the link. Now, you should take this habit, brothers and sisters, of following me on Twitter because if you are not aware, many people don't get the notifications when I'm live streaming, but on Twitter, you will know. And I've been taking that habit of sharing the link and informing the people that I'm live streaming, not only in the YouTube community. And when I say the YouTube community, it's just a tool to send a message to all your subscribers, and then it appears in your on your feed. But I also do the same on Twitter. See, right now I've just shared it in the YouTube community feed, and now I'm gonna share this on Twitter. But some people have loyalty with their organization where they get spanked in the butt, bending over, having all sorts of objects inserted in their behind and getting peed on. That's just what's up nowadays. So we also have Obi-Wan Kenobi, Hotep, and women usually have a soft spot for children. Hope you're doing well. Title of this video is Leave African Americans Alone. Leave us alone. Ah, poor brother Sekou. I share your disappointment. Okay, we're going to start straight away. All right. Listen up carefully.
Nobody is saying that we are the ancient Egyptians. I don't know why you guys keep saying it. And when
Say cool, we
nobody
don't care. We don't
But
care.
You said
if you
moving
don't
is all
care, then
that.
it's wrong. Then you are making a
We
Negro
don't
opinion
care.
argument.
You're lying. We don't care. You're mixing everything up.
No, it's not mixing, brother.
Yeah.
You speak
Go
English
go
today.
screw
You
the
live in a
Africans up.
Western
Listen,
culture.
leave
Are you a
African.
Greek?
Listen, I'm gonna
Are
tell
you
you this.
Greek?
I'm gonna
Are
tell you
you
this.
Greek?
No, I'm gonna tell
Are,
you this.
are
Leave
you Greek?
African Americans alone. Go
I'm
screw up
asking you,
Africa.
are you Greek?
Leave us alone. We
Who is
got
talking
enough
about African
issues.
American now? Why are you jumping off the window?
No, because we
Brother
got enough.
Sekou.
We got Dane Calloway over here to
Who is
deal with.
talking
We
about
don't need
African
to deal with
American?
you.
What are you talking about?
Shit, you trying to confuse African American people more than we
Nobody's
already
talking about
confused.
African Americans
Leave
here. I
us
thought we were
alone.
discussing Nubia
Look,
and
you know,
Egypt.
listen. You know you from Libya, Liberia. You know where your people from. Stop coming over here trying to confuse us. We already fucked up trying to find ourselves. Leave us the fuck alone.
Stop crying, brother. Stop this. What are you
Damn,
doing?
Brother Sekou.
you crazy.
So you've heard it, and the voice is very familiar. It's Kefren. His name is longer, but it ends with L, and the L ending leaves little doubt that he used to be at some point in his life a Moor. And we know that the Moors say that black means death, and the Moors um, usually stress out that they are not Africans. The only place in Africa that they will accept is Morocco. At one point, you heard him say, well, you know where you are from, but we F up trying to find out where people no longer have trust in DNA tests now. Strange. Because when it's time to say that black people, and that's for just not for what Catherine said, but a lot of black people talk about, some DNA results evidence that the Arabs and the Arabs during the lifetime of Prophet Muhammad and the Hebrews during the lifetime or time period of Moses, because we don't have any attestation for him that they were black. They like to, you know, do that stuff or play that game. But apparently, people cannot find out, their lineage with the DNA test. They need to go through libraries of books. There it is. There is Catherine. There it is, Catherine. I'm glad you're here. I'm so disappointed, brother. What's going on? Why don't you say it up front? Why don't you? Because I don't mind if people would be set tripping and they are tribalist, if they want to be tribalistic. But why don't you say it from the get go? Leave African Americans alone. So soon I will be told the same thing. It's like some people, yeah, what up? I'm here, I'm surprised at you, brother. I'm surprised at you. I'm surprised at you. You told Brother Seku, leave African Americans alone. Leave us alone. Now, I was going to go through the list of individuals, but since you're here, Marcus Garvey. Marcus Garvey. We have Emotep 360. Marcus Garvey. Oh, you've changed your profile picture. You have the G of the Mason, but there it is. We have some people who say that Freemasonry is African, so you know. But Kefan wrote, "Yeah, we confused enough, though. I'm sorry, we confused enough." And Emotep 360 wrote that was very condescending towards Seku. So Marcus Garvey, I don't know if people are aware, but he's from Jamaica. And he even had the accent. There's some audio of Marcus Garvey for those who don't know. You can find it on YouTube. Dr. Ben, Dr. Joseph Ben Yakanan, Ivan van Sertima, the golden age of the Moor. Ivan van Sertima was not a native of the United States of America. From British Guiana. Now, who else do we have? Kefan wrote Jamaicans are African American. Van Sertima is African American also. Himotep 360 wrote Seku is a great brother, and we have I'm learning to who wrote Guyana for um Ivan van Sertima. Yeah, Walter Rodney, how Europe underdeveloped Africa. That's a book, right? Am I confusing it with capitalism and slavery? Yeah, it is how Europe underdeveloped Africa. But isn't it? Who's the author of capitalism and slavery? No, this one is Eric Williams. Some books you read so long ago, like Stokely Trinidad. Which Stokely? Stokely Carmichael? Well, that if it's him, I wasn't aware. Yeah, Trinidad and Tobago. I didn't even know that. Later on, he was known as Sekou Touré, wasn't he? Oh, Kwame Ture. Kwame Ture. Oh, Chef is here. I didn't see you. Greetings, my brother Kefren.
What's
Kefren,
up?
Elon to L.
What's the deal?
How can you do our brother Seku like that, brother?
I'm
How can you
sick
be?
of them.
Go
I'm
ahead, go ahead.
sick of them. I'm sick of them. I'm,
Yeah,
I'm,
but you
I'm,
know
go ahead.
that I could tell when we had the discussion. But what I don't understand is when you guys have an issue with one person, you go
Mhm.
against everything that looks like him or has the same ideology or
No, no,
doctrine.
no, it's not. It wasn't an anti-African. It was personal. I told him leave African Americans because he's coming on African American platforms that's majority African American, and he's basically giving us misinformation. Like, just think, where are you from originally?
My parents are from Haiti.
So you one of us. So you're one of us. You are an African of the diaspora that was brought to the Americas by
Yeah, but
through slavery.
you,
So
you
so
know,
anybody, go ahead. So
no, no, I'll let you
you
speak. We have
disagree?
the time. We
You
have time. We have
disagree?
time. Um, I don't disagree with that statement.
Okay.
What I disagree with is that separation because it's not like our ancestors say, you guys here, I'm sending you over there. It's not what it was a choice. We were the same people in the first place, and then we had that tragedy, as some people call the Ma'afa. You know what I'm saying? But go ahead.
Right. No. I totally agree. But what I'm saying is, all of us, I consider all of us African American, not U.S. citizens, but we are Africans of the Americas who was brought here. Like, wherever those slave ships dropped us off at, we ain't had no control over that. So all of us, you know what I mean, whether we in South America, the Caribbean, Canada, North America, wherever, you know what I mean, I feel like we are basically the same, right? It's just the islands in the different countries is what separates. But I feel like, say, cool, people like him and people like Polite, right? I think they miss they teach pseudoisms that harm people like us, right? Because we're literally searching for where we come from, right? Um,
DNA test
so
will help.
no, I'm outside of the DNA test. I'm just talking about accurate history, right? I don't think none of our DNA tests gonna say we come from Egypt, so it's irrelevant. That part of the matter is irrelevant. You feel
But
me?
Seku said he's not saying that we all come from Egypt.
Yeah, but he's also putting Egypt as the apex of 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 African culture, right?
Well, we
And
could
I think
argue, we could argue that it is.
see, and then
Well,
that's
give me an
going.
example. Give me an example then. Go ahead. Give me an example or some civilization from Africa
Mhm.
that's as um, big and influential as Kemet.
I'm not saying that none of them reached the height of Kemet. I think Kemet reached his height because of his location, right? And by being uh accessible to the world stage, or to, you know what I mean. I think that's why it got the notoriety that it has. You know what I mean. But far as wise other African nations or people, I feel as though it's a disservice to say that their greatness is linked to people that they don't even know and have nothing to do with, right? It's like it's saying, and your greatness, is by proxy of a whole nother people.
Well,
That's like that's disrespectful.
no, it's not disrespectful. I disagree. Cheikh
Wow.
Anta Diop indeed say that black people should look at Kemet, and Sekou quoted that. Black people should look at Kemet like Europeans look at Greece and Rome. A lot of Europeans worldwide, they look up to Greece and Rome, and they don't claim to be direct descendants of Caesar or Plato, and you know. So why would it be a problem for us? It's not about claiming, okay, I am from Kemet, we are from Kemet, but we have, you know, a shining example out of Africa, and people don't want to deal with that. But in the languages, and we have Ankh Online, and Theophilo Benga is the director of that journal. We have plenty of PhDs, and I've shared the link many times. The video is called West Africa's Relationship with Kemet, if I'm not mistaken. And we can see the different words in several African languages, and not just in West Africa, but also East Africa, and several African words that are the same, if not very similar to the Mother Nature. So here we can see a real relationship. You know, Kemet was conquered and people moved. You know, people moved to different places. And actually, Sheikh Anta Diop even shows the map of Africa, and he shows, you know, the movement, you know, where people most likely went. So I mean, I don't mind if people don't like Kemet. Really, I really don't
What
mind. Yes, go
they
ahead,
moved,
brother.
they moved where it wasn't. So was West Africans all already in West Africa when Egypt was up and kicking?
Oh,
When
I will
ancient
presume.
Egypt was
I will presume there was people inhabiting West Africa. You know, I'll presume.
right,
You know, we
right.
just don't
So
really have written records like that, but we might have also other kind of records. You know, like you know, the bones and stuff like that. You know, I mean, I'm not an anthropologist, but go ahead.
it's almost like uh the Hermetic race theory, right? Where wherever you see um things that will be attributed to high culture and civilization in Africa came from these Hermetic groups, right? That somehow influenced, right? These Negro, you dig what I'm saying? Africans and departed culture and civilization and technology on them, right? I think we're now doing the same thing with Egypt, right? Connecting everything to Egypt, saying that
Oh
these
no, we.
Africans
Hmm.
all over Africa, wherever you see something great, let's try to connect it back to Egypt. Like these people were not Homo sapiens sapiens, and they have the capability of doing all of these things independently on their own. Like their greatness can't stand on its own. Like that's crazy. Like why everything has to be
But who
connected to
says that?
Egypt the same way we connect. Say cool. That's one of
No,
Say cool whole. That's
can't,
one of his whole
you can't put that on
stopping
him.
points.
You know,
Well, then if he said he got it from Diop, well then if Diop said that, if Diop, then Diop doing that shit and is wrong. Whoever doing it is wrong.
oh, Diop, once again, Diop was a scientist. He was dealing with physics. He could, you know, break down the melanin level to determine the ethnicity of a person, whether the person is of what we used to call the black race, because now the race
Melanin
doesn't
can't
exist.
determine. Melanin can't determine ethnicity.
It
That's
can.
pseudo.
No,
It
no.
cannot
Are
determine
you sure?
ethnicity.
Are you sure
Uh,
of what you're saying,
you're
brother?
sitting there telling me that melanin, the amount of melanin in the skin, right,
Yes.
can determine ethnicity.
Yes, that's what I'm saying. Yes.
Jesus Christ.
You didn't know that they took some samples from mummies, and they did that test to determine the ethnicity. You were not aware of that?
No, I know about his melanin dosage test that he developed independently on his own, but I didn't know that it can determine ethnicity.
Well, yes. I mean, I didn't do it because I'm not a physicist. But you know, um, Diop wasn't pseudo at all. He was a PhD, reputable PhD. But let's presume, okay. I really don't think Sekou is doing that. We have in Zimbabwe the Great Wars. We have the
Hmm.
Ishango Bone. Now I forgot if it's in Congo. And so no, this is, I think you call it extrapolation. And all this
Hmm.
comes from that Bati Kruger. I mean, he's gonna lead you to the world of pseudoness, because this guy is always saying, "Oh, you guys say everything comes from Kemet, everything from." This guy, when he hears Kemet, he's agitated. It's something in his soul, in his heart. And Rabon, I'm gonna play Rabon. Rabon was
Hmm.
angrier than that. I mean, he's supposed to be a 5%er. They're supposed to be wise and civilized, but he was behaving more like a savage, cursing all the way. He calls Sekou the N-word. Sekou says, I'm not an N-word. And then he says, Rabon says, I'm representing the brothers who speak like that. Is Rabon calling his fellow 5%ers the N-word? I really doubt that. I mean,
He
the
probably
way you
is.
guys did. Yeah, go ahead, brother. Go ahead.
No, he probably is. That's common speech amongst a lot of
Oh, I'm sorry,
uh
but I saw the video, when I actually addressed that video, when his fellow 5%ers, said that Father Allah, Clown 13X, is still here in spirit and so on. And he was like, hey, peace, God. He wasn't like, hey, N word and all that. You know what I'm saying? I mean, with his homies, he might do it.
right.
But when he went to, in front of the Allah School of Mecca, I mean,
Mhm.
there's the one in Mecca, there's one in Medina, so one is Brooklyn. I forgot where the other one is. Maybe is it Queens? But
Mhm.
I didn't hear him using all that stuff, But what? I mean,
So you
who said?
it's
Yeah, go
it's
ahead, brother, go
it's
ahead.
go ahead. No,
Oh, you
because
you you you
the
you are
the
you bobbing
Egyptian
hair. Okay, it's breaking
so
up a little bit.
is breaking up.
Yeah, it's kind of breaking up. Okay, now it's loading. I don't know if you can hear me, but okay, well, he might come back. Okay, well, we know what his occupation is. He was on break. So, well, I'm not going to say too much because he's no longer there. But well, what I will do actually is I will play the other part where you will hear Rob on, like, it's like Sekou holding money or something. But for the record, the majority of Kemetic people don't claim that they are from Kemet, that they are direct descendants of ancient Egyptians. You might have a few people here and there say, the majority don't say that. And this is the thing that some people like to say, oh, you guys claim we all from Kemet. Or they say, of course, oh, you guys say everything comes from Kemet. I mean, people have the right not to like Kemet. It's fine. It's all good. It's all good. But just because people don't like Kemet for whatever reason, they don't have to just go at it like that. Like, they don't do the same thing with the five percenters, NOI. We talk about big head scientists. You know what I'm saying? Morse will teach that. Um, um, doesn't he say that a Negro is a four-legged dog? You know, and I mean, it's okay. It's okay. So, you know what? Before I play the rest, I'm gonna go through the comments. And please, don't forget the thumbs up, brothers and sisters. And I like it now. There's participation. That makes you want to stay longer. You see. So Imhotep brother Sekou is a great brother. Okay, yeah. So I learned just today that Stokely Carmichael was from Trinidad. I didn't even know that. I didn't even know that. Now Prince Hall, who knows one, talks about in America. Okay, who no one's talk about in America. Well, Prince Hall, for those who don't know, black people wanted to get into Freemasonry, and you know how it was back then. They say, "Yeah, we don't want you N-words around." Just like you have a gang in America, Hell's Angels. I don't know if he has changed recently, but historically, they would not allow black people in their gang, the bikers gang. So, what did Prince Hall do? Now, he opened laws for black people. So that's why people talk about Prince Hall Freemasonry. See? So Prince Hall is from Barbados. Well, actually, I can run down the list that I've written, just a quick list, really. So we have Ivan Van Sertima, we have Sheikh Anta Diop, was not from the Caribbean. I never heard anybody say, "Leave African Americans alone, Diop. You're confusing us." Theophile Benga. Far Muhammad, allegedly from Arabia, but most likely he was from Pakistan/India. Kwame Nkrumah, J.A. Rogers, And you know one thing, brothers and sisters? I have 2 children from 2 women born in 2 different African countries. And like you've heard before, my parents are from Haiti. So I can say that I'm Haitian, even though it's no longer my nationality. Somebody tried to diss me for that and label me a hater when he made his slander video. And the dude is a citizen of the United States. It's as if being a citizen of the United States is better than being a citizen of any other country. But of course, he has claimed that he had a different nationality, which was a fiction. So he was very angry that he lied on air and I didn't let it slide. I even heard him once say, even dogs have nationality. So for those who don't know, all the Moors who talk about nationality, it's very simple. Out of all those Moors, some have passports. So when you come across a Moor who talks about nationality, ask him, do you have a passport? If he says no, leave it there. And the next time, until you find one who will answer yes after you ask, do you have a passport, then ask him, what is written in the nationality field of your passport? And you will see that it says United States, US citizen, United States citizen, if I'm not mistaken. If they had the nationality that they claimed, then in their passport, that nationality will be stated. Now, I have another video when someone talk about a buffer and all that. I mean, it was quite amusing, but it's all good. So Catherine wrote, not US American, but they are Africans of the Americas as a result of slavery. Then Catherine wrote, we're all the same. Didn't sound like it the way you're talking to Sekou. You said, leave us alone. You said us while addressing him. So we don't see the we. Obi-Wan Kenobi wrote, there are primary texts where Upper Egyptians don't consider themselves the same as Lower Egyptians. Well, be my guest. Please share it with us so we can have an insight about that. Now, Malcolm X Grenadian descent, but he was born in America, so Imhotep 360 wrote, why the separation though? The Europeans don't separate us. Obi-Wan Kenobi wrote, Chef has made a countless amount of pseudo remarks. That's because of his team. I mean, people don't seem to forget that, but the people you hang with, it's gonna play a part on your worldview or your ideology, your way of thinking, your arguments. And if you hang with pseudos too long, obviously you're gonna catch some pseudo traits. It's inevitable. Show another that's above ancient Egypt. It hurts a lot of people when we make statements like that, I've said many times before, Kemet is the greatest empire that we know of. Now, some people are going to talk about Atlantis and Mu and Lemuria, or they might say, well, there were surely other empires that were greater than Kemet. You just don't have any evidence for it that we know of. Kemet, to my knowledge, is the greatest empire that we know of. And that's an empire. I could use civilization. And when you say that, I mean, those guys, those Garfield maniacs, when they hear that, they go crazy. They go crazy. They want to act like Kemet is whack. Listen to these guys. Those Garfield maniacs. Those paddle maniacs. I mean, when I say paddle maniacs, they took on something that derived from slavery. The paddling. They used to use that to inflict corporal punishments on the slaves. And then here we are.
Ridiculous Asar Imhotep. First of all, let's get to know Asar Imhotep. Listen for yourself.
Did you go through any kind of hazing process, bro? Did
No,
you go
I
through a hazing
pledged.
process?
Yes.
Okay, so you went through a hazing process.
No, I pledged. There's a difference.
Okay, so as you went through the hazing process, did they slap you on the ass with a paddle?
Yes, they did.
Oh, okay. So you bent over, you grabbed your ankles, and that paddle was smacking that ass.
Basically.
Okay.
Bending over maniacs. This guy who spoke, who immediately revealed that he bent over, held his ankle, and got spanked in the booty. That's Garfield's master teacher. Yesterday, I made a video. Academic butt spanking part 2. You can check out part 1, but on part 2, we went over what those guys do. They get objects inserted in their booty hole, man, in their anus, man. And they have the nerve to act like Kemet is whack. Stress position, sexual abuse. Man, I'm gonna chill, man. I'm gonna chill. I'm gonna chill. You listen to some people, you feel Kemet was whack. I'm learning to. I'm an African by DNA. Imhotep 360. Then you are talking pseudo if you can challenge that argument. Egyptian pharaoh and the culture didn't start in Egypt. I like that one. I like that one. I really like that one. I love that one. I love it. I love that one. No matter where it started. And we have to know what we're talking about when we say Kemet. Because I'm sure you're implying that it started in Nubia. Tasseri is in Nubia. Tasseri was the first nome or Sepat of Kemet. And if I remember correctly, Reggie said that he's writing a book and he's going to deal with that fact. If I remember correctly. And he will make a good contribution to the community instead of associating himself with those guys who bent over and said that rise of volcano and allies in the Egyptian text. That's a disservice to the community, particularly when you've been hanging with Dr. Ben and Dr. Clark. How do you go from hanging with Dr. Ben and Dr. Clark and all the other greats, and then you hang with some pseudos who says that Chem doesn't mean black after a name? That's a downgrade. That's an extreme downgrade. We cannot upgrade all the time in life, but at least if we stagnate, or you might downgrade a little bit, then you go back on level, you know. But right now, it's like, hanging with Dr. Ben and Dr. Clark, and then willingly being associated and being, in the same team on the same website listed along with those pseudos, like you willingly jump down to the lowest level that be. But anyway, that's on him. Everybody has the right to do what they want. So Imhotep 360 wrote, so his issue is that another black man is from Africa. Isn't that classism like what Du Bois espoused toward Marcus Garvey? See, Du Bois, I don't know the specifics of Du Bois and Garvey, but if I'm not mistaken, it was reported that Garvey kind of, I forgot the statement he made towards Du Bois, but it was like real. When people act like, oh, you guys crabs in the barrel, stuff like that, back then they used to, they went at it too. You know what I'm saying? But one would have called the other one like a monkey or something like that, or an ape, and the other one would have called the other one like a half black or half baked, or something to do with him being biracial or something like. I mean, One's probably seen more as an integrationist. I'm not really sure. I mean, that's so back in the days, you know. That's so back in the days, the early 1900s. You know what I'm saying? We have Leo Wright who wrote Nusiemi family. Which language is that? Now you have the flag of Cameroon. Tu parles français, mon frère? Obi-Wan Kenobi wrote archaeological record. You know, so many people say that. Say we have because earlier you said there are primary texts, but now you're saying archaeological record. The primary text will be archaeological record, but it's okay. There's no obligation to show those texts or direct us to those texts now. But we have to be careful all the time. People, you know, when they want to make some argument, they say we have evidence of this, we have records of that, and when you ask them, like said, he used to say the dog ate the manuscripts. The dog ate the manuscripts. I had them. I had the documents, but the dog ate it. So let's continue. I'm learning to wrote self-centeredness is mental and spiritual death. Obi-Wan wrote West Africans were also in the Green Sahara with Egyptians, Libyans, etc. I am that I am wrote West Africa is Kwa and Kwa is Kush. Obi-Wan wrote he lying on that man. I don't know who he's talking about. Um, Imhotep 360 wrote, I don't think anyone is trying to tie everything to Kemet. That's your premise. No, I mean, this is a cliche, classic that you know, and it's just the Garfield maniacs, man. The Garfield maniacs, they will say anything to get away from Kemet. You know what I'm saying? But they do love that Bible, man. They do quote that Bible, man. Every time you now the new thing that's so funny. I mean, you know, Nepal, you know, Nepal was dealing with Reggie and Garfield, and now Garfield has a new thing now. Now, when you show something coming out of Kemet that ultimately find its way in the Bible, now it says, well, that comes from the Sumerians. That thing from Kemet that was plagiarized or copied, and now we find in the Bible that come before was in Kemet, that was in Sumeria. All right. I am that I am wrote. Some people get mad when they show prove that West Africans have a similar connection with Kami Kemet. I mean, today it's the Garfield maniacs, man. Otherwise, it's cool. But the Garfield maniacs, man, you're gonna show some achievement, something from Kemet. You're gonna hear Rabon. You're gonna hear him. I'm gonna play him. I'm gonna play him. Those guys lose sleep over you saying something that's positive about Kemet. I'm telling you, man. If they hear one guy say something positive about Kemet, they feel like they have to go on the record on any broadcast whatsoever and throw shade at Kemet or some Kemetic people, you know. But all the Asiatic black men stuff, all the bending over and getting spanked and having object inserted in the anus, they don't have one slight criticism about that. You know what I'm saying? Garfield himself said that there's this Hebrew Israelite who was convicted, and he said, I think twice for sexual misconduct with a minor. Have you heard Garfield going at the guy like that, the way he's going at Kemet and Kemetic people? So when you are a Garfield maniac, even a guy that molests children will not get as criticized as Kemetic people. Isn't that insanity, brothers and sisters? But as we have seen, and once again, yesterday's video, but spanking part 2, the title is longer, but I was inspired by Senator for the title because I use this quotation. So it's not really like I was inspired, but I've used this quotation, you know. We've seen that they have this oath, this code of secrecy. And people who went through fraternities, studies have been done. They are most likely to commit rape or sexual assault. All this guy's talking about, yeah, somebody touches a child. And another Hebrew Israelite, accommodated by fellow Hebrew Israelites. Sounds like he's on the run. But the other one, yes, Imhotep 360. Kemet is a trigger word for them. And we heard Reggie. All those guys who say, Kemet, 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 as if they're brushing their teeth. He cannot stand it. But he was, you know, when you're on the road, somebody overtakes you. That's what happened to him. At one point, he was in the forefront with the greats. And he saw some other people come way after him. And now they're doing their thing. And now he's bitter. He's jealous. It's as simple as that. Kevin wrote my bad, probably because of connection loss, but it's all good, you know. Laya sent E. What's up? Imhotep wrote that's called ghetto scholarship. The first time I heard ghetto scholarship, it was Wesley Muhammad, Dr. Wesley Muhammad. Some people were not happy. He actually said ghetto scholars, and he also said ghetto scholarship. So when people are not happy, saying, "Oh, you labeling some of our people ghetto scholars," said, "No, no, I didn't say ghetto scholars. I said ghetto scholarship." So guess what I did? I put up the video where he said ghetto scholars, but you know, he gets a pass. He deals with Dianetics, and in the words of Reggie, Dianetics is a tool. The conscious community accepts Dianetics, rape, pedophilia, objects inserted in the anus. I mean, the list goes on. And the conscious community is a, should I say, a majority of Pan Africans? I mean, dang. I am wrote the traitors amongst get mad when we prove to them that we Africans are actually the commissions and even the Nubians. Well, I wouldn't word it like that, you know what I'm saying? But hey, we have to be careful with what we do. We should not give them ammunition to just, you know, diss us and all that, because I mean they're very angry, you know. They're very angry. Those guys, I mean, you know, the Garfield maniacs, you know, all their lies, they consider that their Abrahamic literature was the next best thing since sliced bread. And then they receive uppercut, you know, elbows, knees, you know, intellectually, all these facts. And like that, oh my goodness, man. I thought that was the book of the Lord. I thought it was infallible. I thought it was not a single contradiction. But they don't expose all these inconsistencies in my book. Oh Lord, what am I gonna do? I'm gonna go to war for my Lord and Savior. I ain't gonna let that happen. I grew up like that. My parents grew up like that. I'm gonna be a knight. I'm gonna go on that crusade to defend the Abrahamic teaching at all costs, even if it means banging up my own people and Africans. I will do it. That's the Garfield maniacs, man. They read those books for so long. Asiatic black men learned those lessons by heart, and now they come to they come to terms with the fact that those lessons are not factual, it's not scientific. So they feel some kind of way now. You understand what I'm saying? You know, they were the big guys on the block. And some other people came in into the clientele real quick. And they're not eating like they used to. We have Marshall, who wrote Ankh and Mat. Imhotep wrote, these guys are afraid of the history of Kemet. Those guys say, we're from West Africa. They can barely tell you jack about West Africa, man. Rabon was very nasty towards Sekou. We're gonna listen to it, all of it, but we're gonna listen. We're gonna hear enough. It's good when you demonstrate. He said like maybe 5 times, we know Sanetta now. Oh, I argue with a lot of so-called black people who look like me, but don't actually value their Africanness. Kevin wrote, are you equating Sekou to J.R. Rogers? I don't know if the question is directed to me, but maybe you came when I was reading the names. I just read several names of people who are not from America. I'm learning to wrote they're proud of the American statues, but American is not a race. He started the first school for black in America. Prince Hall did a lot. Okay, so Obi-Wan Kenobi says that in the admonition of Ippur, if I quote him properly, the inhabitants of Upper Egypt saw themselves different from those of Lower Egypt. Or did he say they looked down on those of Lower Egypt? I will put up the quote. That's going to be better. There are primary texts where Upper Egyptians don't consider themselves the same as Lower Egyptians. So it's not looking down, but they're not considering themselves the same as Lower Egyptian. Now, for those who don't know, Upper Egypt is in the south. Lower Egypt is in the north. If you don't mind, brother, can you give us a quote? Because, this is another thing also that people like to do. If you look at this text and this text and this text, just give us a quote, please. But for the record, the Hyksos, the Heka Hassut, they were in Lower Egypt, in the north, around the Delta region, Leo Wright wrote, my DNA bloodline is Wolof. Our people came from Kemet after the fall of Kemet, 325 BCE. You guys are going to... they're going to use these 2 quotes there, and they're going to give us a field week. Six Finger wrote, Kemet is dead. Are you sure Kemet is dead? Because Kemet is styling on these Abrahamic believers. Kemet is styling on those Asiatic black men. Kemet is styling on those Garfield maniacs. I'm just saying. And Imhotep wrote, the fact that it's the hottest topic destroys your narrative. Obi-Wan wrote, they try to make it cool. They are trying to make it cool to hate Kemet. It's corny and shows how many followers we have in the community. Yes, I agree. Kemet can never be dead simply because someone proclaimed that. It's a foolish conclusion. I mean, the hate that those guys have, man. See, there was a time when those lessons that they learned by heart and those theological writings, everybody was in agreement with that. Like it felt like they were the people of the book, and that's what it was. And when Sheikh Anta Diop came up and Theophilo Benga came up, still people were acting like, oh, well, this thesis, this theory and whatever. But now we have plenty of scholars of different fields, Egyptology, linguistics. And the more we dig, and the less they can proclaim that Diop and Obenga were pseudos. But still today they like to use that term, Afrocentric. When they use that term, it's a negative at hand. It's a way to dismiss you. So we have to try to focus on using the right terminology and saying that I'm dealing with history, period, rather than say I'm dealing with Black history. And I'm talking about in academia, when they try to label you African-centered or Afrocentric, No, I'm scientific. I'm dealing with science. I'm dealing with Egyptology. I'm dealing with languages and so on. There's see, I told you about there's a European, a guy of European descent. We talked about Sheikh Anta Diop's thesis and, basically labeling it as incorrect, if not pseudo, I forgot the word he used, but somebody else re-uploaded his video. So I didn't know who it was. So I didn't address it. But a little while ago, there's another dude of European descent, making fun of people who claim that the ancient Egyptians were black. So I pulled up, that painting of Amenhotep III that used to be my background picture. I tagged him on TikTok and asked him, so what does he look like to you? And I told him, that's just a little something. Later on, we can deal with Herodotus to describe ancient Egyptians as black. And I talked also about Champollion, and I said nobody's going to say he's Afrocentric. We can talk about him describing describing the ancient Egyptians as black. Now he has not replied. I don't think he will, because those guys, they can tell when somebody knows their stuff. He probably went on my account and is like, okay, I'm going to pass on this one, and I'm going to keep on blasting the neophytes. It's easy to blast the neophytes. You're right, wrote. It all started from south. I'm sorry. I done messed up my flow. It all started from South Africa, then moved down the Happy. For those who don't know, a Happy, that's the Nile. And it flows from south to north. They use more ad hominems than logic in their reasoning. They are not seasoned. They come from a mindset with an ideology that they figured was established. Other people came with some information that they cannot fathom. And instead of just dealing with the information and come back properly with some counter arguments, they go, N word, prove us to this. What is this? What was that? And before that, and before that, N word, N word, N word. Yo, I'm not an N word. I represent the brothers who speak like that. Sekou was trying to do his thing. The guy's like, well, tell us this. What about this? I mute my mic. Sekou says 3 words. No, you're not going to do this. You're not going to do this. It's easy in protective custody, man. And for those who wonder, Rabon, I called him out. He didn't want it. It's all good. He's under no obligation. But I'm just saying for the record, you know what I'm saying? Just for the record. And I called him out because he said Kemet is dead. So I didn't learn that today. I learned about that before. And as soon as I found out he said that, I called him out. And I called Garfield out. Garfield came on my platform. And when he came on my platform, Garfield, he didn't talk all that messy stuff he's talking about Kemet, regarding Kemet. This is what he said when he came on my platform.
Kemet is the greatest empire in history. You don't need to compare. If anybody want to compare, like, we trying to get to Kemet level. Kemet is number 1. So we comparing it to other religions is basically saying, hey, we could compare with them. No, we got 3,000 years of documented history. Show me a culture that could show you that. Sumer can't do it. Mesopotamia can't do it. Assyria can't do it. Persia can't do it. The Greeks can't do it.
There's a great dichotomy between what he normally says as a Garfield maniac and what he said when he came on my platform. And for the record, you must have seen that video when I addressed Captain, they call him Captain Tazariak. He's trying to make fun of, Kemet reading the contendings of Horus and Set. And he said, show me in the Bible where 2 men are laying together. I delivered. But you will hear at one point, Garfield stopping the video and saying, I gave information to Jabari when he went against the Zaya, but I hate Jabari. Yes, he hates Jabari. He stated that he has something personal about Jabari, and him giving information to Jabari, if he did, is just because at one point he was writing that book about the Hebrew Israelites. And he stated already that his next book is going to be about Kemetic people. So, you don't get no points, even if you did give information to Jabari. And if you have to take it further, did Jabari ask you to give him some information? Because if you send him some emails or text messages saying, here's this and here's that, he didn't ask you anything. I'm just curious. Did he ask for your help? So you don't get no points for that. Oh, I give information. Please. Let me continue with the comments. Now, they claim Kemet is dead because they've denied their own self. They claim Kemet is dead because they prefer that dude here. I'm going to show you. I'm going to show you. Gotta show you, brothers. I gotta show you. Some people don't know. We have new ones now. We're getting older now. For all those who are from the time when the time limit on YouTube was 10 minutes. We've came a long way. The way we're doing the live streams now, we used to do it on Blog Talk Radio. Audio only. They say Kemet is dead because they're in love with this dude right here. They're in love with this dude right here, who talked about what you see here. See the spaceship, mothership? You see? That's their God. In Kemet, we don't have gods who look like that. That's why they're saying Kemet is dead. Have you heard him criticizing that dude? This guy said that Africans are living a jungle life. Africans are not civilized. And you've heard Farrakhan. Now, some of you don't know what they teach about black people. Marked, disfigured, because we disobeyed God. And the essence of ugliness lies in disobedience. So basically, our physical appearance is the essence of ugliness. But let's hear it from the horse's mouth.
So Shabazz was not permitted to stay in that area, so he took his family into the jungle of East Asia, which we now call Africa, to make a people close to nature. And the Honorable Elijah Muhammad said, this is the origin of kinky hair, because we didn't have kinky hair prior to that. The hair on our head was like the hair on our eyebrows. The hair on your eyebrows straight, the hair on your head is not the same as the hair on your eyebrow. But the hair of every other people is the same as their eyebrow. Your eyebrow straight, your hair something different. Wouldn't you like the hair on your head to be as straight as the hair on your eyebrow? That's why you so busy frying it. That's why you so busy pulling it. Because your nature tells you that the kink I mean, with I'm black and I'm proud, we got to learn to be proud of kinks. Because most of your family of other black people on the earth, jet black. They didn't have no broad nose and thick lips and kinky hair. They were dark-skinned people, jet black. But they had straight hair, a thinner lip, a thinner nose. But we are marked as a different kind of black person. And we were rejected and despised, not only from the circle of the gods, but we were despised and rejected by all the other dark people of the earth. This is why today black people with kinky hair and broad nose and thick lips are rejected in every society. I want you to hear me well tonight. Yes, sir. Why are we rejected? Because the essence of beauty is in obedience and submission to God. And the essence of ugliness is when you rebel against God. And when you rebel against God, in your rebellion, you are marked with a certain mark of your rebellion, which is the disfigurement of your internal self, which manifests in the disfigurement of your external self. And this is why when you look at our people, wherever we are found on the earth, you find us either disfiguring ourselves physically because we are disfigured on the inside because of rebellion.
Wagwan baby. Wagwan baby. Lord have mercy. The disfigurement in your internal self, the disfigurement in your internal self, which manifests in the disfigurement in your external self. The Garfield maniacs, they don't have a problem with that. Dude basically told you that you're cursed, marked, disfigured, the essence of ugliness, and you're cool with that. Conscious community. We have Chris in the place to be. Greetings to you, brother. Now, there's so many comments, so what I will do is just play the rest so I can be done with this video from those Garfield maniacs who don't have a problem with people who bend over, get smacked in the bum, have objects inserted in their anus, and also get peed on because, you know, that's what we went through yesterday. And then I will read the comments. So keep the comments going. And if anybody wants to get on the panel, you do have the link in the chat in the top right corner. The only requirement is that you show your face. If you don't want to show your face for whatever reason, then just use the chat. All right. So what was the time stamp for the next episode that I want you to hear from this wise and civilized individuals? From this wise and civilized individual. Where's the vid? There's the vid. So now, up. Let's go to that time stamp. Now, let me share the screen. You're going to hear some tonight. I want you to listen good now. Garfield maniacs. Bending over, getting smacked in the booty. Getting urinated on. No criticism. I guess that's because it's from America. Some of you maybe went through that. But you're not promoting that. Or are some of you promoting that on the low? On the DL? I hope not, brothers. Brothers, I'm telling you right now, because some people continue after the university. Brothers, you better not hear me catching you. I mean, you better not, you better not let me catch you onto some bending over, getting smacked in the booty, getting objects inserted in your anus and getting peed on like it's cool because you belong to some real fraternities. You know? And don't scare me now, brothers. Because so far there hasn't been that much criticism towards that. You know what I'm saying? If you went through that during your university days, that was then. You have to leave that lifestyle alone, this alternative lifestyle. Don't be part of that hidden agenda to try to spread that all over Africa and the Caribbeans. I mean, we have a rapper slash DJ who's already caused a lot of damage. Word on the street is that he got knocked out more than once for trying that on the wrong ones. And probably he's like, okay, well, you know, it'll be easy on children. They will not be able to knock me out. Because word on the street is that he was good with his hands initially. So when you deal with those Garfield maniacs, feel free to play that. And after you play that, ask that simple question that I will say after this 20-second excerpt.
Ridiculous Asar Imhotep. First of all, let's get to know Asar Imhotep. Listen for yourself.
Did you go through any kind of hazing process, bro? Did
No,
you go
I
through a hazing
pledged.
process?
Yes.
Okay, so you went through a hazing process.
No, I pledged. There's a difference.
Okay, so as you went through the hazing process, did they slap you on the ass with a paddle?
Yes, they did.
Oh, okay. So you bent over, you grabbed your ankles, and that paddle was smacking that ass.
Basically.
Okay.
What else did you do? Did they pee on you? That's what you ask those Garfield maniacs. Or you can just go straight to the, did they pee on you? When you go on their chat, that's what you tell them. Since they want to discriminate people that bad, and apparently now they want to move to dating African people. Ask them, what else did you do? Did they pee on you? Because there's no limits in the conscious community. Raping children, no criticism. Having a white deity, no criticism. Being pseudo as hell, no criticism. Bending over getting spanked in the bottom. Having objects inserted in the anus. Being put into stress positions. What kind of positions? So when they tell you that they've pledged, like we've heard, and that's Garfield's master teacher, ask them, what else did you do? Did they pee on you? Okay, let's listen some more.
No, that's a dumb argument. Hold on.
Oh, yeah, it's
You
dumb
gotta- wait a
argument.
minute. Yo, hold on, bro. You gotta prove the shit you're saying. So what you talking about? When we talking about West Africa, even in that point, those are families and Pacific tribes who run that. All of those people never saw themselves as the same. This is why we even here in America. Because when you have the saying that Africans so nigga, the rule was don't sell someone who's not a part of your tribe. What are you talking about, bro? Where are you getting this shit from that we all looked at each other as one? There's different languages, different gods, different ancestors, different. None of that shit is the same. You making that up today. So prove to us that this is how the people, the Egyptians or whatever niggas that they looked at, all of us as the same. That's what I said. Don't try to switch my shit around. Now let's go. Let's get down to it. Now,
All
mute
right.
my mic.
Okay, thank you very much for muting your mic. First of all, you guys are making argument that I'm not making. You make accusation and then you defend yourself. Nobody said there were no ethnic groups.
We're not doing this. We're not doing it.
You heard he said, I'm muting my mic. I've counted. It's about 10 seconds later. Let's listen up. Let's listen up. He's probably having a nervous breakdown right now because he's realizing that people are not going for this Garfield maniac lifestyle, and people will rather deal with Kemet.
No, you said
Now
something.
you won't let me talk. You said you mute your mic.
No, because you're not on side letter. He can't protect you, nigga. You can't run tonight. You gonna get this work because you's a pseudo. You'll get this work. You said that.
Now, yeah, pseudo means I don't agree with you.
No. Stop talking. Yeah, because you can run. Here, I'm gonna tell you to share your screen, nigga. You can't run. So I'm gonna protect your ass. You ain't no.
I'm not a nigga. My name is Simple
Whatever,
Kellen.
nigga. I'm from America. I'm representing the motherfuckers who talk like that. And all the
I'm not American.
Is that being wise and civilized? Or is that being a savage? I represent the mother effers who's. Let's listen to that again.
I'm from America. I'm your ass. And the motherfuckers who talk like that.
My name is Simple
Whatever,
Kellen.
nigga. I'm from America. I'm representing the motherfuckers who talk like that. And all
I'm from America. I'm representing the mother effers who talk like that. That's how you get down 5%. That's how you teach your children. That's how you teach the babies? I'm from America. I'm representing for the mother effers who talk like that.
I'm not American and I'm not a
America
nigga. That's
talk
what I'm
like
telling
me.
you.
I don't care. This is how I'm talking. Let's get back to the information. You said out of your mouth that Egypt and Kush is to Africans, as
Yes.
all Africans, seeing themselves the same as Greco-Romans and Romans to Europeans. I asked
Yes.
you a question. Why are you saying that if those
Good.
people never looked at all Africans as the same? You are
Okay.
taking a people history who is 4, 5, 6,000 years who are totally apart from Egypt and trying to say because these
The Asiatic black man talks about trillions of years ago, but that's cool. But that's cool. They change God every 25,000 years, something like that. That's cool. That Asiatic black man stuff is cool.
people are African, we are all the same. That we all looked at it, that we should look at these people as our people when we have a whole different lineage, whole different ancestors, whole different story. What are you talking about? We never did that. So now it's on you to show us that we did do that. Don't try to change this. Say you not talking about that. We changed it. No, we dealing with what you said. So now I'm slowing you down and stopping you. So now let's get down to it. Now answer that question. Why are you doing that?
Okay. And tell us about the flower, Egypt being the flower. Yes, I will explain that. I said, I'll repeat again. Egypt pushed Kemet is to Africa, while Greco-Roman civilization is to Europe. So now the question you are asking me that they didn't see themselves as one. Did the Greeks and the Romans see the rest of European as one? They didn't.
Sekou is sharp. Sekou is sharp. Now you hear the silence now when he said that.
Call all European. So now the question you are asking me that they didn't see themselves as one. Did the Greeks and the Romans see the rest of European as one? They didn't call other European barbarians. They didn't call the Nordic people savages. They did. Did they also have war with other Europeans and then have? Wait. The point is clear. You are acting like you don't know what I'm saying.
You heard Monkey Garfield screaming in the back. But what is your point? That's the worst platform to communicate. Garfield, once again, as usual, cannot be a man and stand on his own. He needs his little crew of Garfield maniacs. And like I told you many times, those guys, you don't see them because they're in here on a computer doing Google Scholarship, calling their homies, please help me. Please help me be prevalent in this discussion. But when he's going to debate Jabari, he's going to do the same thing if it's online. You know? Since when is cool to be pseudos and having the nerve to challenge people who really do their thing and who are sharp? Garfield seems to forget that when he's going to debate Jabari, he's not going to have his little Power Ranger crew with him. He's not going to have his master teacher giving him advices, bending over.
Say, just wait, sir. Let me learn. So when I said Greco-Roman, ancient Egypt and Kush is to Africa, what Greco-Roman civilization is to Europe, I am speaking about fundamentally the culture, the people, and whatever the philosophy they have expressed, it can be traced to the African continent and in various African culture. One of the examples that we can give that's very simple to see is when the 25th dynasty took over Kemet. The 25th dynasty is what the Eurocentric world call the Black Pharaoh, so-called. When this Black Pharaoh took over, we can read from the victory stele of Pianki that they were about to restore. Their job was to restore. They were doing a good job of restoration.
All right, I've lost the internet connection at home, so I'm using my mobile phone's internet connection. I mean, I'm not gonna do any conspiracy theory, but um, we've seen former presidents who came out of those Greek fraternities. I wouldn't be surprised if some phone calls were made. Like, this guy, he's a rock in our shoes. So, can you do something about it? Oh, great Greek teachers, oh, great European teachers who taught us the divide and conquer tactics. We will remain Hellenistic soldiers and band over forever and get spanked in the booty. And I'm quoting. I understand I'm quoting. So, can you hear me loud and clear, brothers and sisters? Can you hear me loud and clear? I could hear myself, but the participation is getting lower. When there's no participation, I'll put an end to the live stream. I expect you to interact. Thank you, Leo Wright. Only one person. You're sleeping, brothers and sisters. I hope you're not bending over like those Gaffimedias, brothers and sisters. If you did that before, it's in your past. Let that go. Leave that alone. You don't have to perpetuate this. They want to perpetuate this. They want to maintain. So, let me share again. I stopped where we left off.
In fact, the Shabaka stone, which was destroyed, was restored by the 25th dynasty. They were trying to prove that this was their culture that they were restoring. So you are denying now that people from that Nubian side who restore the dynasty, the culture of the 25th dynasty, have no inheritance to that culture. And if they claim that culture is
why
their
did they get rid of the name? Why did they get rid of it?
because we gotta stop you. It's not miserable. Because oh my God.
Stop, man. This thing's not matter. You won't run this shit over here. Slow down, bro. Those people that called Nubians, they have a specific name of what they call. So when you saying this, we going to want to go to the text. Those same people that you're talking about, do you know that they was on the what? The what is that? The enemy, I think it's called the bow. Forgot the name of it. It's called the enemies of the bow or something like that. The nine bows. The nine bows.
Yeah.
Yes. So those people that you're talking about, who are the same people that's restoring it, those are the people who are the enemies of Kemet, bro. They actually went down into Kerma and stole it.
Look up Ramesses II's wife. He said they were the enemies of Kemet. At one point, there was some conflict. Nation of Islam members are known for putting that murder game down. Look up the Hanafi murders. I have a video about that. So you have the whole quote. Men, women, and children. Point blank, shot in the head. Are we going to say that black people, non-NOI members, were the enemies of the NOI?
Shit. They took the goddamn gold, bro. What you talking about? You see them on the Stellars getting chained up. Are they the same people?
I think you are not listening. So
and then they kick.
Have you seen Nubians on the Stella being chained up? Well, I guess he meant tied up. We have depictions, so indeed. Remember, some Asiatics sent a letter to the Nubians and asked the Nubians to ally themselves against Kemet. So just like we had war in Georgia, and now we have war between Russia and Ukraine, nobody's saying that Europeans are fighting each other and they're not the same and all that. They consider themselves as Europeans. So if a group of people decide to ally themselves under some common entity, then so be it. So be it.
call
Chill
people
out.
are enemies, so they are not the same
Yo,
people?
hold on, man. Yo, hold on,
What are you
hold
guys
on.
saying? You are
Hold
talking like
on,
children.
man. Chill,
But
bro.
enemies, that means they are not the
Yo,
same.
relax, bro. Yo, relax, man. Hold on, bro. What the fuck that got? What does the 25th dynasty got to do with West Africa, my nigga? Who in West Africa call any one of them niggas Pianke saying that's the great ancestor? Where is Yoruba, Divination, and Kemet, nigga? And I got the orange book. We the niggas who brought that shit to the community. You just, I don't even think you own this shit. So they tell you it comes from the Aswan or the Greek or some type of area in there when some other niggas took over. Where's that over there? Where's they calling any of them gods over there? Where's that divination system?
Brother,
Where's the old dudes in Egypt, nigga?
you said you gave me the
Where's
floor,
that
but
at?
now you don't allow me to talk. You
Where's
see,
that? Where's that shit over?
the
What that got to
question
do
we
with
are
West
asking,
Africa?
the
What that
question
got
we
to
are
do with West
asking you,
Africa?
okay, what
No matter what the brother says, there's going to be another question. That's a God-filled maniac tactic. I think Brother Chris called that Gish Galloping. And I'm going to come up with a video talking about this pseudo tactic. I'm going to label it reaching like you're preaching. Over there is the specialty. They would ask you for something, you will provide it. They would ask you 10,000 other questions. And Garfield is a professional at that. He is the expert at that. He will never run out of questions to try to make you look like you don't know your stuff. And as usual, he needs his Power Ranger crew with him. He needs his Google so he can do his Google scholarship. But it's all good.
they have to do? Okay, now this is how dumb the question is. The question is dumb because this is a simple example. You are in the Western Hemisphere. When Brabant have a grip, man.
I'm going hard on you, nigga. I'm going hard. This is
You
not
can't be hard on me. I'm a
Did you hear the way the guy is hollering and screaming like somebody owes him money, man? Brothers and sisters, whenever we talk about Kemet, when they're at home, that's how they're screaming. When they're mad because we talk about Kemet. That's how they're screaming at home, man. Until their voice is gone, man. Man, this is serious, man. This is serious. These guys, I mean, when they hear Kemet, and you know what? I'm going to use the term Kemet even way more than I used to, man. You know. And remember, for those of you who have the time or are bored and want to go on their channel, on their chat, ask, did they pee on you? Do you condemn bending over and getting smacked in the booty? Ask Garfield if he will condemn his master teacher for bending over and getting smacked in the booty. Ask Rob Bourne if he condemns Garfield's master teacher for bending over and getting smacked in the booty.
very relaxed, man. I take this for fun. It's not making me.
What does the 25th dynasty have to do with the identity of West Africans and their culture being fucking Egyptian?
Oh,
What does that
first
have to
it
do
was
with that?
first they were not black. Now it's West African. Now I
What are
explain
you
to you.
talking about? Yo, man, answer the question and stop dancing. Nigga, this ain't Sarnetta, bro. The dynasty got to do with West Africa. Show the connection. So one of them niggas call it Pianke, nigga. You can't. You fucking pseudo, nigga.
Okay, you done?
Fucking pseudo.
Right, boy, you done channeled your inner Maru, man. What's going on, God?
No,
that shit had me pissed off the last.
Now, it took that long for someone to let Robin know that he's hollering and shouting a little bit too much. It took that long. That monkey Garfield, all that time, didn't say anything. But it's the same one who want to act like, isn't it the same one who say, you know, you like discipline. We all grown men here. You're crying like a little girl. I mean, this is so ridiculous, man. We've come such a long way, and now in 2022, that's the way we're gonna go about things.
last time I
Y'all
was
go
on and
drink.
these niggas went, they allowed these niggas to
This
talk all this dumb shit and
one, go drink
show
cold
they
water.
skill and all that.
Drink cold
Yeah,
water
God,
and relax.
let him answer though, God. You ain't giving him a chance to answer. You know what I'm saying? I'm listening. I'm like, damn, God, get a nigga a chance to answer, man.
Yeah,
He
Rob
not
on.
answering.
See how long it took? See how long it took?
He ain't gonna answer. He just gonna talk about something else.
Now, Valley, look, he start talking about something else as soon as he start talking.
So
Oh,
here,
now they not black, and now they not
You
that.
know
He
what?
don't never want to answer no question because he can't.
Yeah,
But I'ma
God.
stop
here's the
you.
issue because
Saying
when we speak,
from what I hear, God, man, he
listen,
trying, and
Rob
every
on,
time he
listen,
try, you dive right back on him, God. Let him
listen,
build for a
listen,
second,
brother.
man. You know what I'm saying? Be at peace,
All
God.
right.
Be at peace.
No, we have peace. The question on the floor is, what does the 25th dynasty have to do with West Africa, and what is their connection?
Right now,
That's
let him
that's
build
the
on it,
question.
God. Let him build on it, God. Let him build on it. Come on now.
Okay.
Go ahead.
The
Go
first,
ahead, brother.
yeah, the first thing, the 25th dynasty that you say, why am I connecting it with West Africa and the rest of Africa? First of all, we've told you that there has been what has been established is
Valley,
the
we
cultural.
Now you see why
Allow
I
me
gotta
to
stop
talk,
this
God
nigga?
damn it.
You see why I gotta stop him? I gotta stop him. He said the rest of Africa. I'm not gonna let you play that game. I said West Africa. We're not trying to disconnect.
It's always like that on that platform. Usually Garfield is the one doing that, but it's not shouting that bad though. They won't let you make a point, you know. But if you bend over and smack on the bomb and get some objects inserted in your anus and you get peed on, oh, they won't have any criticisms. They won't have any criticism.
Egypt from the rest of Africa. We're talking about West Africa. I asked you, what does the 25th dynasty have to do with West Africa? Stop playing games. I'm not gonna let you run crazy over here.
He's basically saying, give him the link between Liberia, where your people from, or whatever region of West Africa.
There was nowhere called
give him the link
Liberia
from there to
until
ancient Egypt.
after
That's what he
slavery.
asked. Go ahead.
Okay, brother. There was no Liberia until after the slave history in the United States. There were just people living in little tribal groups.
Well, West Africa
Now,
as a whole, just give
West
it to West
Africa,
Africa.
one of
Put it
the
in West
earliest,
African context.
one of the earliest empires in West Africa that we can recognize is the Ouagadougou Empire. The Ouagadougou Empire was led
That's
one
a
of
lie.
the kings. Yeah, the Ouagadougou Empire that you now call Ghana Empire that occupy somewhere northwest Africa where you have Mauritania.
Okay, I'm gonna spare your ears. I'm just gonna go and put what Garfield says. You know, so you know I can move to the chat and we can just talk. You know, because it's like it's not really pleasant for the ears. So and you go to the timestamp.
What's up?
Bro.
Hey, Rob-on, let me tell you something, man. Let me tell you something, Rob-on, straight up. The minute he started talking about the sun and the way how Kemet does, you cannot trust Sekou one bit. There's not one word out of your mouth I trust. And you know why? Because I was waiting for Rob-on, lucky Rob-on stepped in. You made up a whole story about the Ouagadougou people that they don't even have. Connect them to Egypt. This is what Sheffrin was talking about, man. You coming to us with this foolish.
You hear the way he's shouting? He's uncomfortable. He's very uncomfortable. Sekou, by himself, against Garfield and his Garfield maniacs, is giving them that work. Just picture Garfield debating Jabari. Whenever Garfield had conversations with Jabari lately, the latest conversation they had, that's the way Garfield used to go off, shouting, crying. It's going to be a slaughter, I'm telling you, man. September 17th, if that happens, all those Garfield maniacs, they're going to turn their back on him. And as a matter of fact, you know, this FBA type of mentality, Garfield will get a reality check because he will be told, you're not one of us, when his services will no longer be needed. Whoever bangs on Kemetic people will have the support of Abrahamic believers.
Foolishness. It's crazy, yo. You gonna lie to try to prove a point? You're a disgrace to Africa, man. Yo, you can't come back on my show. You done, bro. You done. You can't come back on my show. You can't
Kick him out, Garfield.
You
Kick him out.
You heard that? Kick him out, Garfield. Now, there was one point, and I'll spare you 6 minutes. There was one point where Sekou said, I thought you guys understood English better than me. And one of the guys said, no insult. All this time, Rabon was cursing his behind off. Nobody said no insult. But I'll leave it there. So let me go through the comments. And once again, feel free, add some comments. I'm going through all the comments. And if somebody wants to get on the panel, then feel free. The link has been shared. It's in the chat on the top right corner. However, the requirement is that you show your face. If you don't want to show your face, then just use the chat. So I remember the last comment was our brother Chris MVP Harris. Where is it? There it is. So then Imhotep wrote, I don't blame them. We should not align with people like that. Now, oh yeah, Obi-Wan Kenobi wrote, I said admonition of Epo. I know what you said. I read it. I put it on the screen. That is the text for you to look up. You know, I don't want to look at the whole text. You know, if you don't mind showing and proving, substantiating what you said, it'd be appreciated, but you don't have to. You know what I'm saying? Because other people, you know, they will just refer you to whole books. So you have to read the whole book. And you stated something, you know, that the upper Egyptians saw themselves as different as the lower Egyptians, then please give us the part, give us a quotation, if you don't mind. You know, when I deal with the Meren Ptah Stela or Stele, I don't tell people, you know, on that Stele it says Israel and just go look it up. I show the part where it allegedly says Israel, where when after Garfield said, show me Isis being a virgin on some original text. I delivered, I showed the primary, I showed the part, and I read the part where Isis said, I am a virgin or I am a maiden, because maiden is synonymous with virgin, but some people, you know, want to play games. And Reggie said that he was going to deal with this Isis virgin foolishness or something like that. It's been a few days we haven't heard anything, you know. And he's the guy who spent 40 to 50 minutes trying to refute my information, doing Google scholarship and stating that I was doing bad methodology. But in the end, he said I have to do more work, you know. So once again, you don't have to do it. But this kind of thing, I think we have to stop this habit of directing people to a whole text rather than providing the actual quotation or citation, you know. Because in other words, you're asking me to do work for your claim. This is your claim, not my claim. Leo Rice wrote, Senegal, I'm from diaspora. Nusiemi, TMH, Kikong. Imhotep wrote, Reggie has no credibility. He sold that big time. Olga E. Lopez wrote, the truth will exist and probably live on, yes, and live on. So Imhotep is confirming what I wasn't sure about. Du Bois called Garvey a monkey. And Garvey said something about Du Bois, about him, you know, being like, you know, half something. I forgot the exact quote. You know, they went at it. They went at it. It's just a reality. I want to grab something to drink, so I'll be right back.
if you want to get off sensitive.
Come on, go ahead.
About blacks conquering blacks. Throw Maya in the trash can. Throw Alvin Rock, the slave making God away.
Of course, I don't approve this message. This is Dr. Wesley Mohammed, PhD in Islamic study, the same guy who said that African degrees are bullshit, BS degrees, trying to be polite. And he said that on the Breakfast Club, you know. And he became a superstar after he said that, you know. Was invited on all sorts of, you know, broadcasts, you know. But I ain't saying any names. Marshall wrote, okay, he's addressing somebody else. You know, Jafar, I mean, you know, every single comment you type, you write Bati crew, and I'm like, you know, okay, I get it. You know, I coined that term. I mean, you might add on and, you know, add something onto the conversation. You know what I'm saying? Because I mean, what's your way of life, doctrine? What's your religion? You know, are you down with Kemet, or are you an Asiatic black man? Imhotep wrote, Reggie is trying to play catch up. Unfortunately, he's trying to do it by tearing down our ancestors. Marshall, okay, is addressing I. Leo Wright is saying mental slavery will keep one in the dark of ignorance. Oh, thank you, Obi-Wan. It looks like he has a quote for us. The tribes from the desert with pale faces have flooded into Lower Egypt and are becoming Egyptians everywhere. So it's talking about non-black people. So what's the problem? It's probably talking about those Hyksos or Hekahasut. So what's your point, brother? You don't consider the Hyksos to be the same as the ancient Egyptians, you know? It's not surprising to me that the Egyptians of the South will view the Hyksos, those invaders, as different. This occurred during the Middle Kingdom around the first intermediate period when Kemet was split in two until Mentuhotep II reunited Kemet. And it's funny that translation, pale faces. So, some people addressing each other. We have Think About It who wrote, we have a lot of new people, you know what I'm saying? Remember to hit that like button. There's only 15 likes, you know. And also, you know, you have the right to give, you know, to make some super chats because I've been seeing your brothers and sisters. I've been seeing you on all those other channels. I've been seeing you the super chats. You know, you guys are making it rain on the cyberspace. You know, I've seen them flooded with super chat. But you know, looks like your brother, you know, is not worth any super chat. Your brother doesn't have a high status in the conscious community. Your brother did not go and bend over and go smacking the bum. So it's not part of that team. It's not part of that we got team. Now, I am that I am wrote that will be Apophis or Apepi the first. I'm what's the name again? I'm skipping a few comments. Don't be mad at me. Imhotep wrote, Sekou is very sharp. He makes them uncomfortable, so they tag team him. Yes, that's what they did. Seems like he has a cult to me. You can't question anything they say, even when it's pseudo. I mean, I was on the Garfield Maniac bending over, getting spanked in a booty channel, and the monkey moderator acted like he wanted to refute me, trying to be a loyal soldier for his pseudo pimps. And the dude said, the Wörterberg is handwritten. The guy didn't even go to my source. Try to give a lecture about grammar, and those guys teach that rise of volcano. Where do you get rise of volcano with the Medu Neter grammar? What was the methodology to come up with the statement that Ra is a volcano? That lies in the Egyptian text. That the Hebrews are Egyptian. The guy who bent over and got spanked in the booty said, and I have it on tape, that the Hebrews are Egyptians, man. You don't get no more pseudo than that. But they want to give lessons about, grammar. Oh man, this is funny, man. Now, Imhotep 360 wrote, any group that the members cannot question the leaders or the narrative is a cult by definition. Jeremiah D. wrote, Nubians aren't Kemet, but Tasseti, Nubia, is the first administration, the Nome or Sepat. Wow, people who fake like they know are the worst. I'm not sure of what you mean. There were 42 Nomes or Sepat in Kemet. The first one being Nubia or Tasseti, which is located in Nubia. So I'm not really sure where you're going with this. Now, that's not all of Nubia, Tasseti. But if Tasseti is the first nome of Kemet, then Tasseti is part of Kemet. Maybe you don't agree. Let me know. Jeremiah D. wrote, bro, don't worry. I schooled this guy Rob on multiple times. He makes the dumbest claims. Leo Wright wrote, I live in Houston, Texas. I believe in history of our ancestor in Kemet. Nessu West wrote, seem like a little bias is going on. Probably talking about the video that I played, but if it's here, feel free to just let us know. Now, I am that I am wrote, why isn't he allowing the brother to explain how the West Africans are connected to Kemet? He won't allow those guys. They want to make people look bad, and then they're happy, because they went, like 5-6 against one guy. You know what I'm saying? It gives them some relief because every day they hear people talking about Kemet, and every time they hear Kemet, it's like they're getting punched in the face. They are tight. Kemet, as if they're brushing their teeth. I'm tired of these guys talking about Kemet all the time. I want to deal with my Lord and Savior, Fard Muhammad. They have a Savior's Day. They have a day dedicated to the arrival of whom they call the Savior, whom they called God in the person of Master Fard Muhammad, that guy that I showed you earlier. That pale face that I showed you earlier. I am that I am wrote, we can't be united with brainwashed black AWS and booty spanking black people. Imhotep wrote that ghetto scholarship is all about aggression and trying to overtalk for Ra born. Leo wrote, I don't even go on that show. I don't blame you. I don't blame you. I made that mistake before. Jeremiah D wrote, I mean, those guys, I want all the smoke. Garfield Maniac leader. I want all the smoke. When you go there, this is how they get down. They won't let you get a word in. But once again, if the debate happens, if Garfield doesn't come up with some convenient excuse to back down or make sure that the debate doesn't take place, if the debate takes place, Garfield will have to stand on his own. Nobody will hold his hand to help him cross the street. It's going to be a rough ride. He's not used to that. He's not used to that. He'll be able to do his Google scholarship while Jabari has his round. But when it's going to be his round, he won't be able to say, hold up a minute. Let me go look this up. No. Jeremiah D. wrote, they don't even understand this field of study at all. The platform is wide unlearned. Negus wrote, Rawbone is impossible to talk to. He is more emotional than a female. Shaking my damn head. Jeremiah D. wrote, the Wagadu Empire, yes, the Soninke people, and they literally have an oral tradition. Speak on where they came from. Well, oral traditions, it's a bit fishy. Sometimes. Jeremiah D. wrote, Garfield is terrible. I mean, his master teacher got bent over. I mean, he bent over willingly, and he got spanked in the booty. So is it surprising? See, it's not rocket science. If you have a master teacher that publicly stated, for the record, that he bent over, held his ankle, and got spanked in the butt, no wonder the dude's going to be terrible if that's his master teacher. Shaka, the tag team in Seku, that's evident. Rawbone was super impulsive here. Can't even master the emotions. Jeremiah, let's be diplomatic. Some statements you make in real life, you have to be able to deal with the consequences. Noir Manoir wrote, FBA or FBI, I think it's a government conspiracy. They want to create a cultural atmosphere in Black America that's conducive to war in Africa. They can't pull an Iraq on Africa as it currently is. Jeremiah saying, yes, that's what I'm saying. I'm saying Tasseli is Kemet. I'm saying Rawbone saying they're not the same people because they have problems. All right. So I went through all the comments now, brothers and sisters. What do you want to do? Do you want to continue to type some comments, or does any one of you want to get on the panel so it will save me from doing all this reading? It's an exercise, I wouldn't mind somebody getting on the panel, Hey, Leo, you living? Kwaheri. Unasema Kiswahili? Nasema Kiswahili kidogo. Nakupenda Kiswahili. Imhotep wrote, Garfield was claiming victory yesterday, and that's before the debate. That's either egotistical arrogance or fear. He knows he's going to get destroyed. His only claim to victory is saying that he will not be able to prove that it was stolen. I've put up a video. I didn't get any response. Have you ever heard Sanetta state the title of the debate, for the record? I only heard Garfield saying it. Have you ever heard Jabari stating the name of the title of the debate? Have you seen the flyer for the debate? I haven't seen any flyer. It's 1 month to go. Are they going to wait 48 hours before the debate to come up with the flyer? Or are they going to wait for 1 week or 2 weeks? It's good to put it up 1 month prior. Usually it's about that time period, about a month before. that they come up with the flyers. So we'll see. And if that's the title indeed, then it is what it is. But trust me, Garfield knows he's going to get destroyed. He's looking for all the help he can get. For all the help he can get. You know? He knows damn well it's going to get destroyed. The dude was dealing with credit repair. You cannot deal with credit repair, and then 2 years later, you're going to be able to deal with Jabari. And Jabari has been putting a smackdown on most of these social conscious community members for a long time. Many times Garfield talks, he's confusing himself. He's just all over the place. Well, Jeremiah D, I mean, I'm not censoring you. But even if it wasn't that particular belief system, there's this guy, this author, who was stabbed. He's kind of on life support now. Some statements just don't help. We should not become what we don't like. We don't like people dissing Kemet. They haven't said F Kemet. Some have, but so far we haven't heard that. So if you go and say that about their belief system, it's going to be problematic. You know, I think there's a way we should go about things, you know, because this can be used against all of us. We have our brother from Bermuda, Haile. Hotep Sen E.
Hell, let me see.
Can you hear me,
Let
brother?
me see about what's happening here.
Okay, I don't think he can hear me. He's gonna check his headset. We can hear you though. We can hear you. Can you hear us?
Hello?
Can you hear me?
Can't hear nobody, not yet.
Now, Jeremiah, no, we should not let people disrespect us, but we don't have to disrespect a whole religion because of one dude. That's all I'm trying to say, you know. Can you hear me, brother?
Yes.
Highly.
Yes.
All right. Thank you for coming in. Feel free to speak, brother.
Can you hear me now?
Loud and clear, brother.
Okay, so hell, so I don't know what I just came in the room actually, totally, really. I just tuned in and see you were just reading some stuff. I guess you're talking about this upcoming. I'm going to call it debacle right now, as opposed to a debate.
The upcoming destruction of Garfield.
Well, I don't know because I don't know the information as yet per se. In particular, I have an understanding of a lot of different things, like my viewpoint on a lot of different things. And I've been listening to Garfield because Jabari is still over in Africa. I'm thinking, so he's doing his due.
Yeah, he's doing his thing.
He's doing his thing, and Garfield is over here, and it's got a lot of different people coming. Let's see, they have a lot of talking points. But as you just said, what the actual title of the debate is up for grabs, type of thing. It's not really been settled. So, and what talking points Jabari is going to have, nobody knows per se. I mean, we know what it's been doing over the years about how he's going to attack this because of he knows his research. But I don't want to talk too much about the personalities because I'm looking at what's happening with Brother Reggie, and that brother there is a very. I mean, you say this and that about him, but and he keeps talking about his credentials. I'm going to put it like that: his credentials of authenticity, as opposed to everybody else who doesn't have any credentials of authenticity. But I'm going to say that's totally disingenuous because of someone like myself, you know, who hadn't had the opportunity to be introduced to any of the gentlemen that anybody knows, although that was my desire, but opportunity didn't prevail. Yeah. So just because you're in an advantageous position, you can't look down upon anybody else because of the disadvantages. You know, that's not ma'at, for one thing. Yeah, that's not correctness. And So talking points, and that's why I said I'd rather deal with those things 30. Because everybody's talking about the authenticity of the word sterling, you know. When and I keep hearing I heard these brothers talking about our elders, and then they start to throw our elders underneath the Bosch Garfield I'm talking about. Because when he calls John Massey pseudo, and there's people that associate with John Massey pseudo, but then he says he wants to big up the elders. You know who bigged up John Massey? Dr. Henry Clark. You understand? Dr. Henry Clark said, look, we got to go read John Massey. This was a man that he wrote a lot of good stuff about Africa. Yeah? Regardless of what his own personal ideology was, Mr. Massey's, he wrote a lot of good stuff concerning trying to uncover the veil that was been placed over ancient Africa. You know? Because like he said, his focus wasn't on Egypt. He said that Egypt is the mouthpiece of Africa. So when people keep saying that John Massey wrote a lot of, I don't know, because they never say, and I never about to come to Acts. Okay, I don't think there's old maps. No, I don't think there are old maps. I don't know what old maps. I never heard about no old maps that I'm read. But anyhow, I've never heard anybody say just exactly what pseudo points. They keep talking about the points that John Massey made with the Christ figure and the Egyptian mythology. You know, because the Egyptian mythology is not one particular point. There are many different aspects of a particular point. You know, so they use a lot of different aspects, being the natters, to talk about many different points, but being the one point. You understand? Because everything comes from out of the none, the one point. Yeah, everything is flows out of the one point, the none. And so the different aspects that it flows out of, that's what it says that it is. But now we're here trying to separate all of this to that and to that and to the other, when that's not how this game came out being played. You know, they have many different aspects, and the interplay between the aspects gives you the result of these things. That's why you have different as they say, the triads up and down the valley. You know what I'm saying? Because there's so much different nuances within the one point. So when we're going to talk about these things and we're going to try to say, the specifics, as I see Brother Reggie doing, that is not genuine to the teaching. They weren't teaching these things as this set in stone. It was a nuance of the one point in its operation. You understand what I'm saying? So the Africans, I'm saying Africans because this is what we know, but the Africans, they taught very subliminally, and they taught all things together, and they taught so that you have to go underneath. You have to go deep into things. That's what they want to call the mysteries, but the mysteries was about nature, the mysteries of nature. Like the mathematical papyrus speaks about, and the papyrus of Amos, they like to call it, which they say was a early rendition of a child's mathematical treatise, mathematical books. Yeah. So, but they said that this is the way to know all things, all mysteries, all secrets. Yes, mathematical formulas and the connectivity of things, which we don't understand. But yeah, we're going to speak in these progressive terms. So point coming up, like what happened coming out of transition from, as you rightfully say, all the disruptions of the culture that led down even to what they call the Nubian the Nubian dynasty. But what is the Nubian dynasty? When did the Nubian dynasty start? Where did King Nama come from? Sutanama, where did he come from? Did he not come from the same area that these brethren came from? That's the first dynasty. What are we talking about? Whenever we talk about the golden kingdoms that rose up, where did these people come from? Did not they come from the same southern area? They said that even at one time when before the Delta was built, but before Kemet became Kemet, or the place where we call Egypt, there's terms that we utilize now, because that's why I like Anthony Browder when he calls it the Nile Valley civilization. And that's what John Mass was saying. Egypt was the mouthpiece. It was not the beginning of things. It was where things was expressed. So one could say it's the finality of things. I don't like to say the finality, but that's where everything coalesced and came forward in these teachings that we have now that we're trying to uncover. That they still have stolen. But when it comes down to the colorations, I'm wondering, like I said before, what are the brothers really reading? Because I have a pamphlet. I don't have it in my right now. It's a pamphlet. I'm very interested in knowledge. But this brother Haskins, he said even Champollion, when he went and saw the monuments, and he said, and said when he wrote these things about what he saw, the English translation, the English copy didn't have any commentary on the pictures on that was being shown, because the commentary would have blew them out of the water because of the racist bonders, right? But he said when he looked at the pictures that the Garfield and people just talking about the differences, he said, man, he says we see the Africans and because the distinction, Africans and Egyptians being the same, cultured and refined,
portrayed the same way, which could not be otherwise. And he says that the Europeans, like they were savage, and he said, I'm ashamed to say, but at least if we have the courage to address it. And then he said, at least he shows us how far we have gone.
Yes.
And nobody's going to say that Champollion is Afrocentric.
Not at all.
Nobody's going to say that.
But he said, but they shared themselves to be the same. But now that's talking about the Nubians was this, or didn't the Egyptians enslave the Nubians? Aren't they different people? They didn't paint that. Look, man, there's and the Egypt Revisited, there's a discussion on the very same thing, right? On this very same thing. So I don't know what these brothers is reading. I don't know what they're doing. We talked about this thing the other night about the Keeley, right? The red ochre that they painted themselves with, that you find all the way up, and you read in Sheikh Jeff's book, you find going all the way up in the through Europe, when they found the Venuses and the different artifacts left behind by these I don't like to call them civilizations, because I think we use this term civilization according to white thinking. I wrote about civilization. I wrote about what the meaning of civilization is, right? We're talking about two different things. We talk about technology, right, which comes about because of civilization. What I mean by that theory is like Anthony was talking about his two cradle theory, right? In the sense of when you're living in a hostile environment, you don't have no time to develop technologies like that there. Yeah, in the way that we developed them. But because we're living in the Southern Cradle where we had a harmonious life and when I say when we had a harmonious life, we developed the harmonious life through living in harmony with nature. Yes, we were civil with nature, hence we were civil with ourselves. To be civilized means to be civil, to have respect for you because you are Mbutu. I am because you are. You know what I'm saying? So because of that mentality, we're not trying at one another's throat like in the hostile environment, trying to scrap for a piece of bread or a piece of food, but because share things. So we have a different mentality, a different outlook on life, So when we come to think about these things now, who we are, Brother Siku brought out the fact of this Cusco's census, showing 200 years before Nama, right? These things was already in effect. I think that's why they done the because remember why they couldn't keep searching for this Cusco census, which was 25 years not even looked at before they said, oh, heard it. This is 200 years before then. As one dam, they buried all of that stuff. So now they can't show. That's when they said that the Abu Simbel temple higher, so that it wouldn't be any flood and other artifacts. But what remains underneath that 1,000 pounds of water that's up there, that you can't even search now. I think it was done deliberately to break the connection.
You know, as much as some people will say that, claiming that the noses on all those committee statues was on purpose is pseudo or made up or an Afrocentric claim. Some people will probably say, well, you know, that pseudo is made up, but you know, uh, everything is possible.
But what do you
Everything
think
is
about
possible.
that the nurses? Because I have a thought. I have never expressed to anybody, but I have a when they said theory, I have a thought about it on that theory because as somebody said when they talk about Ankh for life, it always gets to the nurse. Yes. So the nurse is a symbol of breathing, of life. So, and I don't know, but it could have been convention to remove the nurse from off of the statues because the image that they reflect is no longer amongst the living.
No, because otherwise, that's if it was the case, then we will have a lot more
All of
statues
them,
with
all
noses
of them
broken
off.
off.
Yes.
Yeah.
So that's what I'm
You know.
saying. I said it's a thought, and I don't know.
And if it was removed, it will be in a better manner. You know, so
Well,
when it's
well,
removed, like you,
busted off.
yeah, exactly. You know, and many times we have the lips as well who are
Yeah, broken
busted
off.
up,
So
but we keep saying the nose, but you know, and I've been showing that for a long time
the
actually.
lips
for
as
many
well.
years, you know.
So like I said, there's a lot of thoughts. But like I said, one thing about the other person they call pseudo, which is Dr. Ivan Van Sadama, he says we have to go and restructure. We can't just use one thing. We have to use everything because a lot of things is not lost, but have been destroyed, have been altered, have been lied upon. So we have to go and re-examine everything. And I don't think that's what we do. But now coming back up into this debate thing concerning writings, there is no authorship of writings before. And when I say authorship, and that's what people look at, there's no authentic markations of any writing before the Septuagint. In other words, the Septuagint has a story that they use writings that was already extant, partially in old tradition, but there are no writings before this point in time. There's nobody else that had the story of the of this happening. So now we have the this writings called the Septuagint, and that was supposed to be just the first 5 books, the laws, the Torah, as they say. But then over time, what the minor and the major prophets was added. So then we have what they call the Old Testament. Yeah. They call it by some other names, which I'm not even going to get into. But anyhow, I'm just going to say it like that. But now we come into so now we don't know who wrote those books because there is no author. There's no authorship. There's no autographs. In other words, there's no original copies. The closest we come to is they keep talking about is the something written almost 150 years after the fact, which is the Dead Sea Scrolls. And it can be
the writing from Qumran.
Yes,
Qumran.
Right, and it can be in the Yiddish writing because that's what we're talking about now. The Yiddish writing is the what they call the what is the book they call it? The the Torah. Yes, the Torah.
Or is it the time? Okay, yeah.
The Torah. Yeah, the whole book now is called the Torah, right? Which they say is the translations and from into the original into the modern Hebrew, as they call it, which doesn't go back before the 7th century AD. That's when they was rewritten and put into this Yiddish language, and that's who done it. But now when we're looking at the earlier, because the debate the debate was the other night, because look, I tell you really, I'm Orthodox, yes, Ethiopian or Toledo, and
Yes.
and I have the book, 2 books called the Kibbutz Nagas, which people talk about, and then we have the Fat Nagas. Kibbutz Nagas means the glory of the king, so that has the story about the Queen of Sheba and Solomon, and the establishment of the dynasty and the phylacteries, as they call them, the Beta Israel going into Egypt through what they call Elephantine. Yeah, this was the last stop before they reached, which can't be the last stop, but anyhow, stories have been told. So it's there's mythological stories, but then there's some interesting stuff in that book that will make you go, But anyhow, then we get to the Fatanagas, yes, which means the law of the kings, but that also speaks to who done the translations of the Bible. I have a book called Introduction to the Church, and that talks, because that was the thing. Somebody said that Ethiopia has the oldest Bible. They have the oldest. They have the oldest illustrated Bible.
Pastor Bennett said that
Yes.
when he debated Chris and
Yes.
P.T. Harris.
Yes, that was totally out of order. Because the Bible was not into orthodox. See, now I don't know what the New Testament says, what the finance minister of Kandika, not Queen Candace. There's no such person named Candace in Ethiopia.
Mhm.
Yeah, Kandika is a term which means Queen's mother. Yeah, so in a real sense, the Queen of Sheba would have been a Kandika, right?
But what would you say if I state that there's no historical attestation, or let's say there's no attestation for the historicity of the Queen of Sheba? What would you say?
I'm telling you this. I'm telling you this. This is a story that has been concocted somewhere. Like I said, when I'm looking at these things, I'm not. Look, I just spoke of two ladies in the Bible, right, from Africa, very prominent in the scriptures. Now, why are these two ladies so prominent in the scriptures? We have one in the Old Testament, right, and one in the New Testament from Ethiopia. True.
Yes.
So what? But
okay. Well, the second one is the Queen of Sheba. Which one is the first one?
No. The first one is the Queen of Sheba. With
Okay.
Solomon.
Okay.
The second one is the finance minister of Queen Candace, the one who was baptized by Philip. Yes.
All right. Okay. Okay. Because earlier when you mentioned Kandake, I thought you meant the Queen of Mary.
No. What I'm saying
yeah,
to you, I'm saying to you is that there was never nobody named Candace in Ethiopia.
Yes.
The word Candace, the name Candace, is derived from the term Kandika.
Yes. Yes.
Yes, Kantaka, which is that's one of the queens, Amaramis, that defeated the Romans. Yes, the warrior queen that lost her eye. Yeah,
Yes.
whose funerary pyramid got ransacked by that German or somebody who destroyed it, looking for gold. Yeah, they found her. And I found this out when I was reading an encyclopedia. But anyhow, that's where the name Candace comes from. This term, her. Yes, Kandika. So she's very prominent, and this is what the Ethiopians say, how they receive Christianity, not so much through Saint Frumuta's the king at that time, the Anza. Yes, Anza, who sent him to pilgrimage in 325. It was after 325, because that's at the Council of Chalcedon. No, it's Council of Nicaea. He reached there after the council. Yes. So and also he reached there when Athanasius, who was a deacon at the council. But when the Saint Frumutius reached there, Abba Salama, yeah, when he reached there, Athanasius was the patriarch. He was the bishop in charge. Yes, and he was ordained by him and sent back into Ethiopia as the first bishop of Ethiopia. Yeah, so this was after 325 AD at the Council of Nicaea. So this is the history of Ethiopia as they tell it. This is what I learned in 1977. You see, this is all the literature that they taught us. But I said that why are these two ladies prominent? These two African queens prominent in the New Testament and in the Old Testament. There's no other woman that's prominent in the scriptures except Mary, right? And certain other people. But in the Old Testament, as they call it, the Old Testament, the prominence is given to Queen of Sheba because she legitimatized the throne of King Solomon. But do you know why? Because people say, well, there's nothing African being Egyptian in the book. But in Africa, you cannot be a king unless you marry a queen. A queen is born, a king is made. Yeah, that's on all throughout Africa. The queen is born, and to be a legitimate king, you must have to have a queen. There's one reason why they said the brothers married the sisters for that legitimacy of being able to sit in that third. Like the throne would pass from not from the son of the king, but unto the son of the queen's sisters. Yes, it's a term that they call that. This was even happened all the way up into Scotland. Tannery, I think, is called that system. But that's the matriarchal. That's how matriarchy works. It doesn't come down to the line of. It's not the son of the king Pharaoh or the king sultan that inherits the throne. It's the wife's sister's son who gets the throne. That's why there's always a lot of intrigue. It's been a lot of intrigue. So that's one system. But like I said, the reason why for me, as my thought pattern, the reason why the queen is mentioned in the Old Testament and in the New Testament is to give these things a certain legitimacy. That these people knew what they was doing. When that's what the Ptolemies done in order to secure the authority for the throne, is they married the people from up south. They're southern peoples. When we look at who became the high priests of the temple in the Temple of Thebes, it's Thebes as they call it. Bastet, yes, Bastet. It was always the woman from the south, the princess from the south, the queen from the south. Not from where they were, but from on the other side. When I talk about the other side, I'm talking about this term Nahasi. I prefer that term. I prefer to use the term Nahasi as to be Nubian, because Nubian, is the golden people. I'm going to say the Nahasi. That's what they call the Negroes.
Yeah, they used to.
But that's what. But remember,
translate as Negro for a long time.
But remember, John Massey said that. But he also gives it the term Nahasi, was the term that the Africans called themselves.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Oh, so, at least people of Kemet, that was a Medu Nature term, basically.
Yes, that's what I'm saying, and that's what he said. That's what the people called them, which the European translated as Negroes, yeah. which the people was trying to put a differentiation between those Negroes and the other Negroes.
Yes.
So, but no, I was looking at the Bible as it's written. So we got to the Gospels. And we know, I have this book called The Lost Books of the Bible, and it talks about the Gospel of Mary and the certain other writings, Barnabas and all these other different writings. So
yeah, Apocrypha.
Yes. But there was another book I have here. It's written by Bishop of Lyons. Gosh, what is it? Irenaeus against heresies. Yes, Bishop Irenaeus. In Bishop of Lyons, he wrote this book against heresies. I have it here, and he said, because we must remember what we are talking about. We're talking about the suppression of literature, right? Because we're talking about this gospel, this gospel. There was a lot of different gospels, a lot of different letters, even. Yes, and if you could look in the Apocrypha book, there are a lot of different letters, more letters. We have different letters by different people. Right, that's not part of the scriptures, but I have these books, I have these writings myself. Yes, and so what are we talking about in these early centuries? What I'm looking at is an interpretation, a reinterpretation, of rewriting of ancient knowledge. Yes, and people was writing because of the suppression of the things that they couldn't write, and the how can I say, the fact of the matter is that when you said when people was writing in Greek, they was writing in Greek for specific. They even changed the language into Coptic. That's why they say Coptic is the new form of the Maginata or the
latest phase, not new.
But when I say, well, I'm saying the new stage, the latest. When you say the
latest stage.
Well, you want to use the status, and I say the new, okay, but I'm not going to give them semantics. What I'm going to say is that certain suppressions was going on before the Romans came in. The Greeks was very suppressive of certain things, right? And there was very, very, how can I say, inclusive of certain things. So, but when I'm looking at the writings that we call the Gnostic writings, and when we say, oh, when did the Gnostic writings happen? What happened to the Gnostic writings? Why was Irenaeus, at the time he came along, saying he's gonna tell you what the Gnostics was talking about? He's gonna explain to you the errors of what the writings were. I've always found that suspect. I have the book. He says that even Justin Martyr, when he was talking about the similarities of the Romans and of the Greeks with the things that the Christians are saying. He says, although you said that, it was the devil who told you before, and because he came and saw what was going to happen, and then came back and put it in the minds of people to copy. So when the real thing came along, you'd be looking at you'd be saying that, oh, that's a lie now, and this is really the truth. So
and who said that?
Justin Martyr. Yeah, so he wrote a couple of different things. I've got the book over there. But he wrote a couple of different things, Justin Martyr and Irenaeus. So like I said, their thing was to say, well, although these things was written about these things beforehand, we're going to show you the error of these things. Well, I find it difficult, especially in the case of Irenaeus. When there's books, basically by the time they got to 325 AD, right, at the Council of Chalcedon and at the Council of Nicaea, and before we get in 451 AD, when we get to Chalcedon, a lot of those books and a lot of those people was being persecuted. So a lot of those books was confiscated and burnt. A lot of people couldn't even go around talking about what they was trying to teach because they've been persecuted by death. So I wonder what people are talking about when they talk about prove this and prove then prove the other. This doesn't specifically say this and doesn't specifically say that.
Yeah, they want the exact sentences.
But if you take my stuff and you plagiarize and you a bit better than how Mr. Assur done it, yeah, how you call
assume him or fake.
Yeah, that guy there, right? He even plagiarizes in writings. I find that very unique. So you can, if they're writing a story, so you take certain elements and you embellish it and you write up a whole different thing about it, and then you say, oh, that doesn't match, that doesn't match, that doesn't, huh? And when you brought up that hieroglyphic about the Virgin calling herself
Isis calling herself a virgin, yes.
Virgin, they say, hey, that's one thing you would expect to find more. But hold on a minute, tell me something. Can anybody tell me how many scrolls were stolen plundered from other libraries of Africa and the Nile Valley? And when they burnt down the library of Alexandria, what was burnt? What was always burnt? In the papyruses that have been stolen from out of ancient Africa, and you can find them all over the world, not just in the museums, but in people's personal libraries.
Yes, private collections.
What is written in those damn things? I laughed when they said they're using the German, and that idiot, Sean, says, oh, you can't go from that language and then go into this language and then interpret from the other. Hold it a minute. When I look in my research, I tell you already, the most knowledgeable people is there's Germans. A lot of people don't speak about that there, but there's Germans that's when Gerald Massey was doing his writings, no, he was not an Egyptologist, but he was using the guy Bruch for his information. He was an Egyptologist. He was a German Egyptologist. That's who was working. That's who was getting his information from, for his reasoning from. He didn't write that on his own. He was verifying it with somebody who was an Egyptologist. And I'm sure he wasn't the only one, but that was the main one he spoke about in his writings. So to get back to that deal, like I said, and they said Dr. Charles Finch is another one, but Dr. Charles Finch spent some time reading these books because he was associated with Diop, he's associated with Ivan Van Sertima, he's associated with Dr. Bain, he's associated with all of those brethren, right? And I'm sure Dr. Clark told him, look, read these books here, these 6 volumes, which he did. But now we got people calling these people pseudos because that's what they read and that's what they done. So no, I'm not talking about how everything, but now we're not even looking for how these things can be said to be true on these sense. Yes. So I find that we're not being genuine in our conversation, because these points that I'm bringing about, because that for me, that acting like the Greeks came in as saviors and everybody just balcony. Oh yes, okay, yeah, sit on the throne. You're the guys, right?
Thanks for coming.
Yeah. Like they weren't oppressed for being in their country. The teachers weren't allowed to teach the native peoples. The teachers weren't allowed to teach outside of what the people, like how they said when they allowed the Negroes to have churches in the States, they always made sure, right? Because they always made sure that they have somebody in there overseeing them. So what were the Greeks doing in Africa? Were they just not writing and not formulating and planning and doing all these things? What did the Romans do? You know, because they make it seem like there was a smooth transition from the Africans to the Assyrians to the Syrians, right? From that people to the Greeks to the Romans and then to the Arabs. It was no easy transition. You know, people suppressed and oppressed and repressed and murdered. The knowledge being beaten out of them same way, but we're acting like like you said, even Herodotus said the things that we got came from out of here. Everybody that came in there's man. So when I'm listening to all these people have this debate about what was stolen, like they said, when the brother said stolen legacy, what did he mean?
Well, I think soon we'll have confirmation of what the title is, and then if the title is indeed that, then we have to wait for the debate. But I'm pretty sure it's going to be. I mean, Garfield has already said that it cannot be proven that it was stolen, so that's his stance. No matter what happens in the end, he said, well, he did not prove it was stolen, but it's gonna get a scholastic spanking. You know what I'm saying? It's not with a paddle, but scholarly. I mean,
No, but I'm saying when George M. James wrote his book called Stolen Legacy, what was he talking about?
Well,
why did he use that title, Stolen Legacy?
Yeah, in summary, it was saying that the Greek philosophy comes out of Africa or Kemet. But I'm paraphrasing really.
No, but it's true, and that's what he's saying. And when he broke it down, he said, "Look, all these people came into her, but remember, he's not saying about those people; they're themselves stolen." He's saying that, and I told you actually before about the Gottingen School of History, the Gottingen University. There was a lot of these pseudos that came up. That's when a lot of the history got rewritten, and these people took on a prominence that they previously didn't have, as far as the Latin peoples, first the Roman, first the Greek peoples. Yes, these are the people, like you said, the word Semite, yes, Semitic, never meant anything except the new name for Oriental language. Up until the time that the school of Gottingen said we're going to call the language Semitic, no, not people, but the language, the language of the Levant. Instead of calling it Oriental languages, we're going to call it Semitic languages. That's when all of this stuff was started in the 17th century, right? And that's what he said, and that's why he broke it down and said, okay, here, the philosophies that those people said that they that people are claiming that they done, Thales and Socrates and all of these other people that went into Kemet and learned, right? Look at when he compared against the Memphite theology, as they call
Yes.
it. He said, okay, here's the elements of what these people were talking. They have a little piece there and they have a little piece there, right? But here's the whole thing right here. You know what I'm saying?
I'm sorry. You know what you're saying makes me think of one brother who actually he's been following for a long time. You know, it's sad I ended up blocking him because he first wrote about, well, you know, I can show the exchange. It's going to be easier. It's going to be easier to show the exchange. Now, yes, there it is. I'm going to share the screen. Oh, Kefren says that he's back. But really, I'm just going to go through this comment and I guess I'll call it a day. So this is a video called Jewish Pan-Africans Doing Cultural Appropriation.
Oh.
Because Brother Reggie was defending Kwanzaa, like many other people.
I heard you. I heard that. It was interesting debate. I saw Malana Karenga at one time, but that's always disturbed me as well, especially like I said, not only the thing of Kwanzaa, but as Dr. Clark said,
yes,
he hasn't
atoned
for anything like the selling out of the other movement that he was jealous of,
the mistreatment of this black woman and.
It's a major, but I'm talking about the selling out of the Black Panther Party.
But you know what they're gonna say? They're gonna say it's COINTELPRO. They always make excuses.
What's COINTELPRO? I mean, he admitted to being a sellout. Dr. Band didn't like him. Dr. Clark didn't like him. But yet Reggie's sticking up for him. Really?
Yeah, but you know, Reggie's sticking up for everybody.
Except if you call it directly.
Except if you say his analysis was poor. If you say his analysis was poor, that's it. It's going to be
call out Dr. Ben. He was at his deathbed, remember? You know, but yet Reggie calls out Dr. Ben. I mean, Garfield calls out Dr. Ben outside of his name.
Not Garfield, you mean?
Yes, that's what I'm saying. Garfield calls
out
when
Reggie's not there. When Reggie's not there.
Yeah. And he calls out Dr. Clark and Dr. Giap. All of them he calls outside of the name because it's called. But all of them spoke about John Massey, and it's saying anybody that deals with John Massey is pseudo.
I mean,
that's disgusting to me. But it is what it is.
Before it was the blind leading the blind, and now it's the pseudos leading the pseudos. You know. So here you see African Science World. One of the few things I disagree with you on, Kwanzaa is a plagiarized version of the Jewish holiday. Shaka Ndugu Kemet. I disagree with this statement. Do you know any PhDs that has made this statement? The brother is asking me if there's some PhDs that stated that Kwanzaa is plagiarized from Hanukkah. Now, you have plenty of articles that say it, but why do you need a PhD to tell you, okay, this is plagiarized, it's not plagiarized? You have your own mind. You can see the two different texts or doctrine and make up your own mind. So I just replied to him. Have you read the part of Mukasa Africa's article where it says Jewish RBG? Here's the link. And I replied also, as strange as your question is, yes, I know a PhD who stated that Kwanzaa is a copy of Hanukkah. It is the author, Mukasa Africa. Here are two quotes from the article I've just shared to you. First quote, the Kwanzaa lighting celebration with 7 principles over 7 days, also performed out of sincerity by countless blacks, is a copy of the Jewish Festival of Lights of 8 days. Due to this very reason, it is more cultist than it is African. We learned as much from Karenga laughing like a teenager in 1978. At the very minimum, this Jewish lighting ceremony should be eliminated to gain some respectability among the holiday's participants. And the second quote, it is equally wrong to avoid questioning the Jewish influence copied into Kwanzaa because it is awkward to acknowledge that we are copying a Jewish tradition. Then he replied, However, it is not strange. I was just quoting what I heard you say during that dialogue. Furthermore, the PhD you quoted does not say what I quoted from you. The PhD singles out the lighting ceremony, which in the same article he states that some replace with libation.
It's not
It looks
replaced
to
with
me like the brother,
vibration.
yeah, it looks to me like the libation, to replace with
No,
libation.
no, I'm saying, I'm saying they always did libation with that as well.
Yeah, but I think the brother did not read the article, and I wasn't expecting him to read the article, but I specifically said the part where it says RBG.
Yes.
What is it? Hold on. Jewish RBG, because that's the part
Yes.
where
Yes.
he makes a comparison between Hanukkah and Kwanzaa. You see, so there we have like some ditches, because I've blocked him. That's why he shows that instead of his username. But I told him, I'm sorry to block you, but nitpicking doesn't help anyone. First, you ask for a PhD who states that Kwanzaa is plagiarized,
Yep.
as if you cannot determine that with your own mind. With Hanukkah, there is a chandelier that they call menorah.
Yeah.
With Kwanzaa, there is a chandelier that they call kinara.
Yeah.
During Hanukkah, the candles are lit progressively. During Kwanzaa, the candles are lit progressively. Hanukkah is celebrated at the end of the year. Kwanzaa is celebrated at the end of the year. That's already 3 elements.
Yep.
Then I quote the author who states twice that Kwanzaa was copied from Hanukkah. And I put the quotes again. It is a copy of the Jewish festival of light of 8 days. We are copying a Jewish tradition. And finally, he types, I don't even know what I think I've missed one reply.
He did.
I
think.
Maybe he removed it. And maybe he removed it. But this is what he had written. He had written, Dr. Mukas Ahmad is not a PhD either, but he does have a doctorate in education.
Heard it. Listen,
So the guy has a doctorate, but he's not a PhD.
How does that work?
And then I wrote, and that is even stranger to me than your initial question. So if I quote a doctor, you're going to reject it because the title doesn't say PhD. Well, and I put, I'll leave you with those semantics games. Once again, I'm sorry, but I can't carry on when people are disingenuous. And
in other words, he's actually for a source, and then he's gonna reject the source.
Yeah, exactly. He's gonna reject the source. So
and say that PhD is not a doctorate.
Well, he said that Dr. Mukasa Africa Ahmad is not a PhD, but he has a doctorate of education.
That's what I'm saying. But that's what a PhD is, not.
I'm not even sure if he knows what a PhD is, but I mean that's too much. That's too much. It's too much. It's been nitpicking too much. I'm like.
So just for an education for me, haven't never really looked it up, but PhD stands for philosophy, yes.
PhD stands for Doctor of Philosophy. If we translate it in English,
well, that's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
So the PH stands for philosophy, yes.
Yes.
And then the D stands for doctor, right?
Yes.
And then it specifies on what area we're talking about. Whether you have a PhD in this at this level or that level or that level. In other words, this this category,
the discipline or the field. Yes.
Right.
So from the Latin philosophiae, doctor, or doctor philosophia.
Right,
and in English we would say doctor of philosophy. Yes.
Right.
Yeah, I agree with you. But I mean, when I read that, I was like, I cannot believe that.
That's my
point.
I
took the time. and then I said, and. I don't. Obviously, he's cool with some people that I'm criticizing.
No,
so he's
obviously,
being nitpicking,
but I'm saying like that to me shows your level of intelligence. When you make a statement like that, when you think you know something and you make a statement like that, that shows you I know absolutely nothing. Or he says, keep your mouth closed, let people think that you feel, then open it rather than open it and prove the point. Yeah. Because that was really, I mean, for somebody to say something like that there is really shows me that level of, you don't even know what PH and D stands for, really. You don't even know what it means. That to me is really
what's a shame is that, I mean, I've removed the video, but, and that's why every time, sometimes I block people because I know they will not be able to edit their comments. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
But this is the kind of thing that makes me regret replying to a comment in the first place.
Yeah.
Usually I don't really reply to comments. You know, I
Right.
put the like because it shows when the owner of the channel, you know, puts a like.
For real,
But you
for
know, and you know, and sometimes people want to debate in the comments when they could comment the panel because I don't screen the call. But then again, some people don't want to show their faces. But at least we can do that
Still.
in the chat. But you know, the brother there, to me, I didn't want to be too long, but he has ulterior motives. It's
But
clear
that's,
to
you
me.
clearly can
And
see
you
that.
know, there's only so much time I can spend with comments like that. I mean, you know, I don't know where he's going with that. And he's been there for a while. The brother's been there for, and I'm very surprised because I don't recall anything like that from him before. But you know, brother, you know, don't take it bad. I mean, you know, I don't know what's the ulterior motive, but it's something I can't do. There's some things that I just really cannot do. You know, I've been there for a long time. I'm battling all those pseudos who get founding, bend over, get smacked in the bum, associated with people in high places, and I'm by myself. I'm not supported, and
That's
I
what,
cannot just go on the comments, you know, with the semantics about, you know, what the PhD, you know, PhD and the doctor of
yes.
education is. You know, what I'm saying, you know, I'm not.
No, no, but
Come
no, so
on.
not to get into personality so much, but what do you think about them? How they're dealing with Brother Sekou?
Well, Sekou is handling his own well, and
Yes.
I think. Well, anyway, even if Garfield didn't say, okay, you're not going to be on my show anymore, I was like, you know, I hope he realized that it's pointless to be on that platform because they will not let you speak and they will try to make you appear as if you're pseudo or you don't make any sense.
What
But you
they
know, and I told him, I think the last time, he should try to, you know, build on his own platform as well. It's very important as well because if people, you know, many people like to go on different platforms, you basically helping those other platforms to get some momentum, while your own platform is not, you know,
Yes. Not
you know,
being
and
getting
yeah,
nowhere.
exactly. So it's sometimes it's good to speak to like-minded people. Sometimes also myself, I did that. I went over there because
I
they were
saw.
doing all this, you know, Egyptomania stuff, and I'm like, okay, let me pull up over there and see what's good. And sometimes you want to wake some of your people's eyes. You want to, you know,
I like.
bring some balance. But some people are just too
I
disingenuous, you
like
know, and
what
it's
Brother
just
Smash is doing because
yes, brother, you know, and I mean, Brother Smash is knowledgeable, you know, he's
yes,
knowledgeable and he's fair as well. But there's some things that we'll not do with Brother Smash, you know. There's one thing with those people also, you know, they have some crews, some teams, and they'll put a
yes,
status on you. If they don't know you,
yes,
you don't have any
yes.
status, so they will disrespect you.
Well, you
And they
got
know
your
better,
status, son.
yeah, and
You
they
got
know
your
better not.
status, son. That brother
Well,
loves you. That the
no, but
pseudo
no, but
killer loves you. He gives you mad props when he sees you coming on.
yeah, but I mean, when
Brother Bobby
Garfield, you know,
Banger.
he put me on hold for 40, 50 minutes. He will never do that with anybody else. That was straight
No,
disrespectful, you know. Yeah.
Garfield's straight up.
Mm,
I'm not gonna say it because my mama said it to me.
mm,
If you ain't got
mm.
nothing good to say about somebody, that's ain't
Yeah, I
nothing at
understand.
all.
I understand. But that's what I meant, you know. So they know better not to mess with Smash Rockwell, you know what I'm saying? So, but you know, it's interesting. It's interesting, you know, this is documented because many times, you know, many times I talk about some stuff that I heard some people say, and sometimes people might think I'm making it up, or I'm misquoting. And obviously, new era, so you know, every now and then I'm as well, you know, just take it for the record, you know. Even
Uh-huh.
that part where you know he had me waiting for 40 minutes, close to 50 minutes. Then he
Uh-huh.
kicked me out 3 times. Then he
Uh-huh.
started trying to lecture me. When he was talking with Sister Napa only said, "Well, your live stream was 7 hours," and he was going on and going on and going on and going on. Where was the discipline then? You know what I'm saying?
Uh-huh.
This guy's just disingenuous, and I hope that one day we'll find out who's financing him, what he is really, if he's a Christian or alternative Christian, where Paul was a homosexual. But it's clear he has
Garfield.
an agenda. Yeah.
I'm like said, my grandmother said, if you can't say nothing good,
Mm.
same thing, you know. And I
Well,
really,
he has an agenda.
I really don't, I really can't
He
say
has an
nothing
agenda,
good about
so
you,
you know,
brethren. But
he's gonna get that work with Jabari, and then you know he's gonna move on to other things. But it's a shame because you know
but like
um
like you said, when Brother Reggie attacks the brother and he says, "Oh, because because it's about he's not doing it because against Jabari. He didn't want to say this is good friend. He said, I'm knowing him for a long time. I heard that. But
He said
anyhow,
that, you know, I'm glad you mentioned that because he said it so many times. And to me, when he says that, it's like when he says, you know, I was with Dr. Ben, I was Dr. Clark. What does it have to do with anything? I mean, you can know someone for 10, 20, 50 years. If you hate on the dude, you just hate on the dude. You know what I'm saying? But
yes.
sometimes I don't know if they realize how irrelevant some of their statements are, you know. Yeah, go ahead, brother. Go ahead.
No, I was just saying, when you're egotistical like that, there,
yeah,
nothing that when you speak because of your ego is not an error. So you never see anything wrong with it. You know what I mean? And because, like I said, even if it's factual, what does it really have to do with somebody else's life? Because of your life, your life is your life, and your life experience, your life experience. But that can't negate somebody else's life experience. Because remember, in the oldest book in the world, what did he say? His first lesson was to be humble in your knowledge and speak to even the most commonest person with respect.
The wisdom of Ptah.
Yes, he says even if you meet most commonest person, right? Yes, treat them with the most utmost respect because you can learn from them. You know what I'm saying? So with this, I've been with this person, you don't know, and no, that's not what that's not my art. That's not what Ptah was speaking about in his accents. He was saying, no. Don't make a difference what you know. Right? Humble yourself to go down. So when a person comes out about I'm this and I'm no, that's a problem. I know this and I know that's a problem. If you can't speak to Maginata, well then that's a problem. When I say that, I'm going to talk about Brother Jabari. As people say that it would be good if he knew the Maginata, right?
I mean, he knows the Maginata. It doesn't have a high level. That's all, you know.
His degree of competency is in question, but I can't question it. I mean, him and Baba Heru seem to be fairly tight to me.
Yes, they are tight.
So I'm saying, Brother Reggie seems to have the utmost respect for Baba Heru, simply because
No, he doesn't.
He doesn't.
No, he doesn't.
Ah, how interesting.
Because at one point Baba Heru labeled Reggie as unclean, and Reggie was complaining, saying that when you say that someone is unclean and he's a leader of a religious organization, some zealot might want to harm you. But you know, like I was telling Brother Osai Mka, for weeks, if not for months, they've been going at, you know, Baba Heru and all these different members of the shrine, even at Jehutimus. And I'm surprised because Reggie should know that, how they went at Mfudishi, sorry, you know, when with his quote when he said 1 + 1 = 3, they kept playing that, making fun of him. They will put, you know, like, you know, sound effects of people laughing. They've put Baba Heru because he used to sing, so they will put him singing. You know what I'm saying? Garfield and his Garfield maniacs, they used to do that. You know what I'm saying? So at one point, I'm not surprised he said, "Hey, you know what I'm saying? You're unclean. What the hell are you doing?" You know? And now it's like, "Oh my goodness, they're attacking me." He's the victim now. Now he's the victim. I mean, please.
Well, yes, but that sounds like a narcissistic personality to me.
Yeah, it does. It does. You know what I'm saying? And you know, it's a shame because his hate for Jabari and many other Kemetic people is turning him into a wasted talent. So hopefully his book will come out and his book will be factual and accurate. You know what I'm saying?
Have you read his
but
book?
It's not out yet, but you know, he said he's
The
writing it.
second volume.
Oh, it doesn't have a book yet. Well, not to my knowledge. No, he said he's writing a book. Reggie.
Oh, yes.
Yeah, he said he's writing a book. So this way he'll be able to promote his book rather than say, you know, send me some cash app, and then when people send him cash out, he send back half of the money or whatever. I mean,
it seems like he is, and I'm going to put it like this, sir. He is not unknowledgeable. He's written several papers that have been accepted into these things, sir. So maybe he should have written his book a long time ago instead of letting Garfield beat him to the punch.
Better late than never.
I'm going with you because people keep telling me I need to write a book. But I have certain things that I have written that could be very much polished. But no, like I said, for me, Garfield, brother Reggie, he has lived an interesting life.
Yeah,
I'm
but
gonna put it like that.
and he's not listening. I'm sorry to interrupt, but Smash Rockwell told him that it was wrong when he addressed his stance regarding the ISIS being a virgin issue. You know,
Oh yes, real.
Who was the other one? Sanetta, his
Right.
close homie,
Yes.
told him it was wrong, and so many other people out of the conscious community tell him that he's wrong, but he's not. He's just not listening. You know,
You
and
know
that's
what?
what hate does. Yes, go ahead,
You
brother.
know, I'm saying it was the same thing that happened with you just now with the brother when he asked you about produce a PhD. You went for your $4,200, yeah, right? You shared a glyph, original artifact.
Yes.
Yes. You should have. I said I'm virgin. Yes. So I'm sorry. In German.
The German was just a translation
I see that.
of the
That's
word,
what-
yes, on the original.
that's
But
what
indeed,
I'm
that
saying.
Sean guy, he was so funny. I mean, you know, I decided to use that dictionary, which is, by the way, once again, the most complete
Yes, I saw that.
dictionary of Medu
They
Nature.
didn't go to it.
They didn't go to it, you know what I'm saying? But, you know, and we have a lot of pseudos like that. They don't have
They didn't
anything
go
to
to it.
say, but
That's
they will
it.
talk for 15 minutes.
Well, I'm saying, but that denying you, but yet they didn't go to your source that you should. Here's what I'm using. So they went over her and looking for something, right? Rather than go to your source that you said this is where you got it from. They're going over her. Oh, but it's not over her, so it can't be. Hold it a minute. That is not exhaustive.
That's Ujau Isefed and assume him of fake pseudoism, you know, that disease that they are spreading in the conscious community, because now they can even invalidate PhDs. You know what I'm saying? They can talk this appealing to authority. I mean, the conscious community has been polluted by those guys, man. I'm telling you, man.
They didn't even go to the panel that you shared. They didn't even go to the panel that you. What did they go to the panel that you shared? Did they go to and read it?
Garfield played the video, so we saw the artifact.
Yes.
But they did not dispute. They did not go to the source. You know, they went to
Yes,
Vegas. They went to the TLA. Reggie went all over Google
all over
for
the
50
world.
minutes. You know,
But they never went to the source or the panel that you said. Because
No, they didn't.
if these brothers could read the Imagine other than they should have went there and said, okay, here's an artifact. This is what it says. They never went there. They try to break down the word in a different way, right? Not using the phonetic spelling that you shared. So they say, oh, this word, you can't even find it. Hold it a minute. They didn't go to the source in which you said you got it from. So then how are you going to break down the brother, if you don't go to this to examine the source in which he presented and say, he didn't prove nothing?
They're just ridiculous. But people say, but Rise of Volcano, they don't have a problem with that though. Lies in the Egyptian text, they don't have a problem with that though. So I mean, and it's good that it's documented. You know, it's really good. And you know, Reggie spending 15 minutes trying to, you know, refute me and stating that I'm not doing the right methodology, only to say, well, I need to do more research. He reached an all-time low. You know what I'm saying? And you have to feel sorry for him, really. You know, you have to feel sorry for him.
I have a question because I'm listening, because I know you done an interview with him a while back, and I never really saw the whole thing. You had a good deal with him, but he likes to be fawned on. I'll put it like that there, which we all like to have be thought of as good people, yeah. But it's in the sense when I say fawned on, in the sense that as long as we're having agreeable conversation, then we're agreeable. But if you don't agree, then it's a problem. So I've seen recently like two things where you was having a conversation with him. I didn't know if this was recent. After the fact, they tell you hit not having nothing to do if you know more because of your sloppy work.
Oh yeah, yes. For those who don't know, those like 3 videos that I have uploaded is before things went sour between us. Yes.
That's my question, because I've been sitting to hell at the minute. Like I said, I remember you done an interview before with him, and I'm thinking that this is from that time. Yes.
Yes, it is, and
All
I
right.
think it's important that people, get to hear those things because sometimes I alluded to
Yes.
them. Like for example, I was talking to another brother, Nejaneb, but I was saying, did you know that he
Right.
said that
Right.
the Kemetic kings were crazy, and it was like
Yes.
first it was like surprising. It was like okay, maybe he was trying to say that. So it's just there for the record, it's for people to see,
He's very
But
upset.
but then again, this so-called Kemetic dude or former ex-Kemetic dude is saying that the Kemetic kings were crazy because they built a pyramid. I mean, you're just trying to criticize Kemet. I don't know for what reason, talking about people not really eating, and we have
Yes.
attestation,
Starving them
people going on strike because they didn't get the proper wage of food. I mean,
Oh, that did happen.
I'm,
That's attested to in the when they built the pyramids. But so we know, and that's one reason why we say, well, we know they weren't slaves because slaves can't complain about the treatment that they're getting, and they went on strike. So that's the testament that the slavery that they keep talking about. Like the guy says, oh, the brother Siku says, oh, you said slaves? He said, well, prisoners of war. I said, yeah, well, you're getting nitpicked. Didn't prisoners of war have to do forced labor? Well, hold on a minute. What are we talking about, slaves or prisoners of war?
Well, that was a very sensitive conversation there, and that conversation is like I'm glad that it took place peacefully,
Yes.
because it's very sensitive, and
think
I
they cut
guess
him
at some
off.
point maybe the brothers will get to talk about it, but the way our brother Kevin went at him, I don't think
Yes.
they'll be able to have a constructive debate discussion unless they have a debate, like a proper
Well,
debate, which means that there's a moderator and they have equal time.
no,
But
because
but
I
I
think
mean, at the end of the day, we it seems like, and it's been like that for a long time. People blaming Africans more than the Europeans. Like we've been
yes.
sitting here and we're waiting for the Europeans to get there to say, okay, well, let's just sell those people away and all that. So it's touchy, it's very sensitive,
I mean,
But we'll get some clarity definitely. You
when
know
we
what I'm
look
saying?
at the history of West and Eastern Africa, Central Africa, when we talk about the Africans selling into slave, who's one of the biggest slave traders on the East Coast? Tipo Tip. Who was Tipo Tip? He was Arabic in his mentality.
Yeah. No, but
Very
I get your point. The brothers are saying that's not an excuse, but that's what Sekou was
excuse.
saying in the first place. He was saying, he was talking about indigenous,
Uh-huh.
indigenous slavery versus the slavery practiced by those people who are on the Abrahamic spell. So the funny thing is that, sometimes you talk to people and you say, Christians enslave Africans. And then people like to say those were not Christians. And if you say the same with Muslims enslave Africans, those were not Muslims.
Yes,
Or they
yes,
were not
yes,
good
yes,
Muslims.
yes.
The Ku Klux
Yes.
Klan, they were Muslims. I think, I'm sorry, not Muslims, Christians. I think when you
Right.
ask people what they are and they tell you what they are, then they should know what they are. But some people are just trying to deny the facts, the reality.
Well, let me
So
put it.
yeah, go ahead, brother. Go
No,
ahead.
no, I'm saying, let me put it like this. A book in Bermuda, written by great book is called Chain of the Rock, right? Written by anyhow, author escapes me, but Chain of the Rock, and it talks about slavery in Bermuda, right? The inceptions and how it all started and whatnot. The first slaves in Bermuda, first people in Bermuda were not slaves. They was bought here as indentured servants, and it would have been black and white. But the black people was bought here for the craft of being able to dive for pearls and agriculture. This was the first people that came, yeah. But then they shortly changed that into lifetime servitude for
Yeah.
them, and the white people stay. But he talks about one of the things we talk about in Christianity, and the white people say it, and he says, "Oh no, we didn't bring any Christians to this island." That's what the white people said. We didn't give, and then because black people was trying to get baptized, he said, "Look, don't think that baptism is going to get you any sense of freedom. You're still going to be enslaved." Yes,
for the
This was-
record.
yes, but they said, the white people said themselves that we did not bring any slaves, any Christian slaves to this island, because why? In this island, we have something used to be called Spanish Rock, right? It was supposed to be a Spanish sailor going across, and he got whatever, he came on board, and they left an inscription that had been, since when I was a little schoolboy, Spanish Rock. Here recently, because the Portuguese came in at a certain point in time for certain reasons, that nobody wants to speak about for the real reasons, right? But anyhow, they are known, and they didn't come from Portugal. Let me put it like that. The first people, they came from Madeira Island. Yeah. But Madeira Island was claimed by Portugal since the Portuguese state. So the first Portuguese came through that way. They're not Portuguese. Nobody from mainland Portugal came here. But here recently, they said, heard it. That rock could have been found by us, engraved by us, because we was also. I read a piece about this as well. Why? And I said, why did both of them able to make that statement? It's because that papal bull that gave them the permission to go out and civilize. I mean, and enslave anybody that they found that wasn't Christian.
Nicholas V.
Yes. So when we look at the history of Spanish rock in this island, speaks to the time when the Spanish and the Portuguese had divided up the world into the enclaves for slavery. Mm-hmm. But yet we are black people in this island, government-wise, that are now bigging up the Spanish enslavers and the Portuguese enslavers. But it's a problem. But like I said, they said that out of themselves that they didn't, because all the slaves that came to Bermuda didn't necessarily come from the mainland of Africa. Like most of the slaves, they went through the transition of the Caribbean, and then they was dispersed to the various places where they ended up to. Yeah,
like Bookman, it was first in Jamaica before it went to Haiti, so.
Yes, exactly. And so the slaves that came from, although they came from West Africa, but like I said, the white people was very certain because of that papal bull that said you can enslave everybody that wasn't a Christian, that they said, we didn't bring any Christian slaves to this island, which proves the fact out of their mouths that the West Africans weren't Christians. I just said that, and because a lot of people don't know that that's written, yeah. So it disputes the fact of Christianity, as like some people saying, like they came from out of West Africa. I just want to put that point out because nobody that know enough about that book on these discussions that's being thrown about and banned about, like we know everything that's been written. You see, so just like points from there. But like I said, I find that people are being disingenuous because they're talking about times, periods that nobody was there, but yet when we look at, and we're bringing back that stolen term again, but when we look at the legacy of Christianity, and all the books that I have overheard, the legacy of Christianity says that all of it was stolen, and the only place it could have been stolen from, right? Because when we look at things, I'm good with everybody, what everybody's saying, but when we look at the scheme of things, right? It started with the Greeks and continued with the Romans, and both of them was in Africa, even though they went up and still the works of the Assyrians as well, the Ashurbanipal's library, right? But when we look at the history of writing, the oldest script of anything, no matter what they say about the Sumerian script, whatever they call it, the cuneiform script.
Yes.
The writings has been clearly to be shown they didn't develop from out of the cuneiform, it developed from out of the Imaginata.
Yes.
So they weren't reading the cuneiform like that there, they was reading Imaginata. They developed everything from out of the Imaginata. I'm just gonna say that. And I'm not gonna say that.
And it's weird. It's weird, Indeed, I've quoted when I addressed Mr. Vegas, and Mr. Vegas, if you're listening, what I'm saying. Well, it's all good anyway. I've sent him a message on Twitter. I didn't get any response. So, but
I don't think it's gonna respond.
Yeah, so I don't know. I mean, the invitation was sent. So, it is what it is. I mean, he said that Garfield was his teacher. So, I don't know. That's what he said. So.
Garfield is his teacher.
That's what he said. That's what he said.
But we all have teachers.
Yeah, and we have to start. We have to start somewhere.
Yes, I agree. I agree. But but for me, like I said, I didn't.
And then we have to. Then we have to upgrade.
But like I said, I didn't have any teachers. That's why I have these books, and I'm reading. But I find that I don't know that if people are actually reading these books. But I find like if somebody was to read a book like Ancient and Modern Britons, what would they say about what he wrote, David McRitchie? Because he wrote a lot of interesting stuff. He said that in one of there, he says the people up there that they killed off used to write with hieroglyphics. They have books written hieroglyphics. Yes? Who were these people? How come he says, unfortunately, that there's people killed off and the books have been killed off. So how are we really to say yay or nay when it comes to these things with such certainty of these stolen legacies?
For the record, Catherine says he doesn't want to debate Sekou. It doesn't surprise me. And with what you just said, it's a bit cliche when people say, black people don't read. If you want to hide something from black people, put it in the book. But, amongst the so-called conscious community and the pseudo guys, what they do is they do Google search. Reggie showed, how to get down. He's going on Google for like 15 minutes trying to refute somebody. And that's what they do. They will put up quotes from books, but they mainly got that for Google. And they're not familiar with any other language. And I'm not saying it's mandatory, but they talk about ancient history and ancient locations. You know what I'm saying? It's amazing. Someone at Zion Legs has a belief, so he went on to learn the Hebrew. Apparently, he knows some Aramaic, and I know he's familiar with some Medu Neter. But we have all these other people who want to refute everybody and say they are pseudos. They bend over and get spanked in the booty. And besides the English, they cannot speak any other language. And then when you make a translation and you use a German dictionary, they come out and say, "Oh, this is German. You cannot go from the German to the English." That makes, you know what I'm saying?
But the term maiden.
Yeah.
Everybody knows what a maiden is.
Yeah, but those guys, they are pseudo for life. They are pseudos for life. We cannot save. We can't save everybody. Those people, they are glad to be pseudos. They are proud to be pseudos. You know what I'm saying?
I agree with you.
Yeah, yeah. And I just hope the future generation will not follow pseudo people like that and not make a fool out of themselves. Because if we put their claim to, if we bring their claims to a PhD that takes the time to answer, like what? Rise of volcano? Allah is in Egyptian text? The Hebrews are Egyptians? Are you serious? They're making us all look bad. They're racking it up for everybody. They're making everybody look bad. You know what I'm saying? We need to distance ourselves from those pseudos. You know what I'm saying? And this guy making these crazy claims, that's Garfield's master teacher. So, it's just weird, man. But, brother, I'm going to leave you there. It's been 3 hours.
It's all good. Like I said, I just came on because they said you was going on. So let me just don't want to make it.
And I appreciate that. I appreciate that because we only had 2 people who came on. It was Catherine and it was yourself,
Okay, so cool.
Our people are very shy and, I don't know. Maybe they like pseudos, maybe they like bending over. I don't know. There hasn't been much criticism.
I said you've been throwing that out. You've been throwing that out very heavily. Even when you put it, I had to stop listening because I said, okay, you know what? That was a little bit much for me because
it's a bit extra.
But I know why. I know exactly why. And I applaud that, but at the same time, it's like you said, if you don't have nothing good to say, don't say nothing at all.
I know. Well, that's why rather than me saying, I'd rather just let us hear it from the host's mouth. And that's how I'm going to close today. For those who don't know, so thank you very much for calling in, brother.
So see you soon, yes.
I'll see you soon, brother. So for those who don't know, this is the master teacher of Garfield speaking. Listen to what he has to say. Listen to how he gets down.
Ridiculous Asar Imhotep. First of all, let's get to know Asar Imhotep. Listen for yourself.
Did you go through any kind of hazing process, bro?
No, I pledged. Yes.
Okay, so you went through a hazing process.
No, I pledged. There's a difference.
Okay, so as you went through the hazing process, did they slap you on the ass with a paddle?
Yes, they did.
Oh, okay. So you bent over, you grabbed your ankles, and that paddle was smacking that ass.
Basically.
Okay.
If you want to get down like that, brothers and sisters, well, do you knock yourself out, And if you went through that, that was your past. It doesn't have to be your future. It doesn't have to be your present. Stay safe, stay healthy. And if I'm allowed to buy the Necheru, I will definitely holler back at you, Hotel.
Now, for the record, for those who don't know, I'm giving Medu Neter classes. And here, that's the flyer. Okay? So, those who are interested, feel free to holler at me. If you're not interested, it's cool. But I recommend everybody, I recommend that everybody who has not yet seen the video Kemet and Ma'at before Judaism, Christianity, and Islam, then watch it. It has about 300,000 views and really deserves to have a lot more.
I just want to let everyone know who's listening in now and who's going to listen to this stream in the future. I just had my first Meta Netia class by Brother Shaka today, and I've had other Meta Netia lessons by other teachers, and I can tell you right now, the brother is the best in the game. He is that was one of the best classes I've ever had, ever. So if you're interested in learning the Meta Netia, if you're interested in getting the basics of it, Brother Shaka is an awesome teacher. Get with him, and it's extremely affordable. This brother is giving us his time and his skills, and he's basically giving it away. I mean, I just consider it a donation. You know what I'm saying? So if anybody is interested in learning the Meta Netia, get with this brother right here. He's an awesome, awesome, awesome teacher. And I'll end with that.
Hotep Senu, Hena Senut. This is Julie, also known as Servant of Yah, and I'm currently taking the Medu Netia classes with Brother Shaka, and it has been an amazing experience. Only 2 lessons so far, and I feel like I've been taking the classes for months, just with the how in depth he goes into the vocabulary words, the construction of the language, the grammar. It's been immeasurable, the experience. And one thing that comes across, hands down, is his extreme passion for teaching this to anyone who is willing to learn and has an interest in learning. So I highly suggest, if you are interested, even a minimal interest, that you subscribe to the classes with Brother Shaka. It's such a nominal amount for how much you get. I know, like, our last class was over 2.5 hours. It felt like 2 minutes, but because that's how, involved you are in what he's teaching and how he teaches and how compassionate he is about what he teaches. Also with sharing materials free of charge, no question, no doubt. It's just what he does. He doesn't have to, but he does. And so I just wanted to give a short testimonial about the class and the effectiveness of the class, and all of that is attested to how studied Brother Shaka is. So I highly recommend anyone with a minimal interest that you do sign up for the Medu Netia class. Hotep.
Don't forget to subscribe to my channel, which is Ma'at Forever. Don't forget to watch the video entitled Kemet and Ma'at. Don't forget to share Kemet and Ma'at on my channel on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, WhatsApp, or other social media that you use. Email, text messages, you name it. Those who wish to donate can do so on paypal.me/Ma'at Forever.